Right now, I've got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.
And welcome, everybody. We are live, and this is not a daily gun show. I'm so used to saying the daily gun show 1,200 days in a row or something like that. I've been saying a different intro. So, yeah, we're live, and this is an unplanned, unscheduled, and unwanted chat, honestly, because I hadn't planned it or scheduled it. But I just got word from a friend of ours, Missouri, that stupid Wanamaker show got canceled. So we're going live to chat about that and to chat about our tour. So I'm going to try screen sharing here. And if you are a Patreon, you're more than welcome to jump over to the Patreon page and grab a link to this. There you go. I like that. When life gives you lemons, you punch them into lemonade, right? Punch them until they give you lemonade, or wait a minute. Yeah, but I'm down with that. Although there's something about clouds and silver that if you wrap the silver around your wrists, you don't get diseases. I don't know how it works. Anyway, so we've got a bunch of stuff to talk about. Let's get on topic here. So I think I killed the one last night. We ended up doing a van chat last night, and it got all rowdy and crazy. But I had anticipated heading out to Tulsa this week because the big Tulsa gun show it happens twice a year. It's the largest gun show in the world, and up until hours ago, I had anticipated it being going on, and it was basically the last bastion of live event that is firearms focused for a while, since they've already started to cancel, not postpone, but cancel some of the big events next year. Which is frustrating. So with this one still being a island in the sea, and that sea seeming like it was going on for longer and longer, span, I figured it's worth efforting to get to Tulsa. I'm not wealthy or the kind of person that's just going to go to Tulsa and drive right back. So I was trying to come up with as much things as possible, and one of the things that even got me to consider Tulsa this time. Besides the situation this time and the circumstances of this particular show, is the fact that I learned about two new museums that are within. One of them is literally on the way to Tulsa, and the other one is only an hour, so a 3-hour something round trip, a little bit further than Tulsa. So one of them is a museum in the Panhandle of Texas that I learned about, and last night we verified that it was open. We went on live last night, is what I'm talking about. We went on live last night to verify that some of these other destinations on the tour would even be available. We found out that the one in Nebraska, which I had hoped to or potentially visit, the Museum of the Fur Trade, which is kind of a neat museum that we'd heard about years ago, but I never really dug into it, and we hadn't really ever driven right past it. I probably could have hit it going up to gun rights policy in Chicago in 2018, but I didn't know where it was. But anyway, it's in the Panhandle in Nebraska. We found out that one is closed, so there's really no point in going up to Nebraska. But there's still points to go up to Dragon Man's in Colorado, to go past the Boot Hill Museum in Kansas, and definitely some destinations in Texas. So the one destination was the Panhandle of Texas, which could easily be hit on the way to Tulsa or the way back from Tulsa, depending on how I go. And then, oh yeah, see, I just figured out how to hit it on the way to Colorado now. So anyway, then I could also, where am I at? We could also hit the Daisy Museum, and then there's some stuff in Texas that I could hit again, basically. So anyway, we had come up with some alternative routes or some ideas for routes, more and more elaborate routes, depending, since we're doing this a crowdfunding project, depending on how successful and how much the funding brink comes in. So we basically were coming up with some different options depending on, like, say, what the results were of this project, this campaign. So we went on last night, and like I say, it was discovered that all the museums are open except for the one that's only closed because it's seasonal. It's closed because of the weather and because probably nobody goes to the Panhandle of Nebraska in the middle of winter. But all the other ones are open, and that show got all crazy because it was so late at night, and I shut it down, or I think I shut it to only Patreons can watch it, just because it's kind of a mess. This one, it's already a bit of a mess, but I'm going to try to keep this one less talking about the politics or the situation or the current events, I guess, that create the circumstance for the gun show. But the point of the tour is the gun show is a destination. It's the catalyst that got us out of Tucson, but it was the one of many points that we could or hit on the tour. And like I say, now that takes two variables out of there, mainly time variables. One is we don't have to be in Tulsa on Saturday, and the other is we don't have to be anywhere on Saturday. Is STAR still going? I'm going to take a second and address that. Thanks for asking. I don't think I'm going to go in right now, actually, and shut this thing off. So this is Indiegogo. It's a platform it's basically a machine, a mechanism to allow people to raise funds and stuff like that. So I'm going to go in here to the content tab, and I don't think I'm going to show anybody's name or anything here yet. So then I'm going to just remove this video and save. And then, okay, so I have to put some in there, I guess. I'll go to image and put an image in there. And we'll just go with this image that we came up with for it, if that'll fit. Okay, and we'll give it an image instead of the video because it just took a second there to do that. Thanks for bringing that up, because I think I am almost positive in the video I mentioned SAR show being canceled. I'm going to go address that as fast as or as much as I can by going to Crossroads, who is the promoter of SAR show. And if you go to their calendar, week by week, the answer to your question is it is still on with a caveat. So if you go to the Crossroads Gun Show website, which is the promoter of this, one of the promoters of the SAR show, it does show that the show in Mesa this weekend is postponed. The one in Sandy, Utah is postponed. The one in Farmington, Utah is going on next weekend. They have a tentative one for Costa Mesa, California in a bit. There's for some reason one scheduled in Tucson all of a sudden at our fairgrounds, which is kind of cool. Hopefully I'll be back in time for that one. And then it says that the December SAR show at the Arizona Fairgrounds is on. Then we were talking about that in that show I was alluding to last night that we had, and we heard that, I think it was in that show, that the SAR show will be in the tents outside as opposed to the normal situation. So there's that. It is on, but a little bit, not normal. And I did want to not have that bad info going out there. So originally when I made the decision to even do this tour, because this isn't like, say, if I was sponsored or if I had a bunch of money or all different circumstances, I would just go to Tulsa. Instead, I do these as crowdfunding campaigns, mainly because I can't afford to go there, but also to encourage participation in the whole concept of, new media getting together and doing stuff and whatever. So anyway, crap, where's that? I mentioned in there that I even, that's a bunch of obligation and responsibility, right? That is it needed, right? No, not necessarily. Is it necessary? I don't know. Like, something that helped me make the decision was I thought SAR show had been canceled, and that was based off of something stupid that happened on Instagram, I guess. And I can't even find the post now, but I could swear that I made an action based on my perception that somebody said in a post that SAR was canceled, and it was somebody that I know sets up at SAR. That's why I didn't even question it. I went, oh, if they're saying that, then they know. Therefore, I'm going under the assumption that SAR was canceled. So anyway, SAR is another awesome show. We go to it every year because it's literally an hour or something away. And it is the Small Arms Review. SAR is Small Arms Review. It's a magazine. It comes out, I think somebody said 6 times a year. And kind of a nice magazine. Very few ads. It's kind of self-supported by subscribers like we are. And focused on belt-fed, tripod-mounted, old-fashioned guns that people own from olden days, acquiring stuff when it was, available, basically. So, and then they just dig into their, get nerdy about it. So anyway, so the SAR show is still going on, and thanks for bringing that up. I got interrupted there, and I'm off topic, but whatever. This one's getting sloppy too. So we're going to go in and start hitting some of the topics, but we'll start with what instigated this whole thing, and that's Foose, right? He starts everything. He instigates a lot of things. So I was sitting here minding my business, having a good day, and then he goes, "Looks like Tulsa's canceled." And then I said, "What?" And then he gave me this. This is interesting. Look at how my screen is. Just normal, everyday Instagram screen. Everybody can see it, right? Here I go to click on this. Oh, look, now there's a little thing here to tell me about COVID because that's the new voting thing. Now they're going to be our nanny about everything that we post. So this isn't even text. Keep in mind here what's happening. This here is a screen capture of my phone. There's nothing text on here. I took that screen capture. I canted it a little bit. I scribbled out his phone number for privacy. And then the app that I did that in, I wrote in, "Dang it, but did you die?" on there, right? That is all turned into JPEG. That means there's little tiny dots, and this one's green, and this one's orange, and that one's white. That's just a shit ton of Legos stacked together, right? Those little 1x1 Legos stacked together, and this is just a sheet. Then I post it as a JPEG, as an image, and our eyes know how to take that and turn it into the words, all the connotation and meaning, right? Stupid robots here should only be able to determine that's a JPEG of a certain size, and based on its meta tags, a certain information about where it came from and when it was created and shit. This thing here is basically just a zoom in version of a screenshot that he sent me across the telephone, a screenshot of a screenshot. You know what I'm talking about? A degraded JPEG, thus the shitty, you can't even hardly read it. Our eyes as humans have trouble to figure out what's going on here. Instagram immediately, as soon as I posted this, tagged it with this garbage little nanny tag. So welcome to nanny tags. And somebody had gotten, voiced frustration about some minor bullshit. That's the shit that's been going on. So I posted this. There's Foss. See, we have a Foss and a Foose. Foose is over here telling me stuff, texting me bad news and whatnot, going out competition shooting, making a bunch of 9mm. That's all we can admit. He's responsible for a lot of the 9mm out there. And then you got Foss over here, totally different. 2 A's, 2 S's, and a U, I guess. So he flips his U upside down, turns it into 2 A's, boom, then you get Foss. 2 different people. Anyway, yeah, so we got a new nanny tag over there. There's me griping about the internet. So here, you want to not go on Instagram and go to your grandma's parlor? I wouldn't recommend it. It's shitty and old and stinks like grandma's like old candy or whatever. Why don't you figure out how to use your own website? Use the internet, which is awesome. It's the structure that we all live on. That's like we all went to paradise and crammed into some little grass hut that smells like grandma because the other grass hut is owned by a jerk. Well, get out of the fucking grass hut and go enjoy the damn island. We're on the coolest island ever. We got a lake over there we can swim in, and we got the ocean over here we can fish in or sail in or whatever. We can make black powder to start developing guns out of the bamboo, and then we're all sitting around in a hut complaining that we're not in the other hut. That's what we're talking about here, is getting out of that rut, that hut rut, right? We're getting on the road and we're blowing right past the gun show. The gun show would have been Saturday and Sunday. That means I would have hauled ass to get there, and I would have had to bite my nails a little bit trying to worry about my brakes. They're not, I'm going, but my brakes ain't, but my brakes are also going, right? So I'd have been going to Tulsa kind of fast as possible to get there for Saturday, which we would have got there ideally in the morning, take a shower at the gym or something, get over there, meet up, get the media pass that Clover has set up for years now, so that we can help promote the show with our cameras legitimately and without people getting concerned that we're just rogue picture takers in there, and then take pictures and do our thing. enjoy the show and each other and the environment of being awesome or whatever at that event, which is unique. We've talked about that in other shows, how singularly unique that would have been, or has been in the past, and this one would have been. And then we would have gone and ate or something eventually. And here's what it's like at every event ever. Everybody goes, "Oh, let's go together. That sounds like a great idea," even though we've never successfully done this ever before. Okay, yeah, let's all eat together. Okay, where are we going to go? And then we spend 45 minutes to an hour and a half deciding where we're going to go. And it's not like everybody hates everybody. It's just that like we all decide to go limp like a bunch of 4-year-olds, and nobody wants to be the parent to yank us into a car. So everybody sits around for 45 minutes, not wanting to eat what everybody else wants to eat. We finally go somewhere, and then it's like whoever really didn't want to go there is on that trip, and everybody else is trying to hear over the noise, or the waitress dropping something, or something getting not being ordered with cheese or whatever. So when you have a lot of people eating together and you're actually trying to get stuff done, it doesn't really get nothing gets done. You hang out and you have a good time, but there's nothing getting done. And then we'd all go to sleep, and then you'd all kind of repeat a mini version of that on Sunday, and everybody books out of there so fast you can't believe it, because nobody's getting paid to be there. SHOT Show, people fuck around, they hang out because everybody's kind of getting paid to be there. A couple of people, the rookies, the amateurs, the DIYs, they're running in on their own dime and they're doing their thing. They're being as efficient as possible and they're getting out. A lot of the people are just getting paid to smoke cigars and hang out in the bars and fart around. So they got all the time in the world. At at Tulsa, doesn't happen that way. It's basically all you see is ass and elbows, little cartoon clouds of smokes, and everybody's gone. So in that case, all they remove for us is the environment of hanging out with, I don't know what, 25,000 pro gun people, probably some amount less. We were having whole chats on how many people would actually show up. So yeah, that part was removed, and that's a poke in the eye. But every time I get poked in the eye, I close that eye and I open up the other one and I figure out who the fuck poked me in the eye, right? So that's what we're doing now. Is we got the gun show taken out of there. I think there's a potential. I was already about to write some emails to people like Dana Mueller, who lives in Tulsa, who runs the DC project. And if you don't know what that is, we're going to take a second and talk about it. The DC project is a chick from Tulsa who decided to be a cop for 23 years. And then after that, she was like, I'm going to be a competition shooter and be good at that. And then after that, she was like, you know what? Gun rights aren't the way they should be. So why don't I go to Washington, D.C. and do something about it? So she grabbed a couple other cool chicks, and they did that. And they went to Washington, D.C. and they said, that was pretty awesome, but why don't we do that with one cool pro 2A chick from each state? And why don't we do that every year? So that's what they've just done for the last 5 years without asking anybody or reading any directions. They just did it. So she's in Tulsa. It would have been cool, or it will be cool, to try to hang out with her if she's around. She's also a competitive shooter. She runs this big ass project that's basically the future of 2A. She's there. We got the promoters of the show are going to be there. And now we have something to talk about when they don't have a show going on. So I don't know how interested they might be in talking to me, or to Clover or somebody like that. Or I guess Clover ain't going. Damn. So maybe they'll talk to me. If not, I'm going to go look at the show, and let's see. Is anybody else going to go to Tulsa and stand in the middle of that big empty room and go live and bitch about it? I will. I'll do that. And then we'll go to Bull Rock. We can go to JM Davis, which is awesome, and spend more time there. We can hang out at the gun shops in Tulsa, which are pretty cool. We can head over to that Daisy Museum still. And if I ain't got a lot of, I can still get over to the Saunders Museum. And, what the fuck was the deal at the Saunders Museum? There might have been something up at the Saunders Museum. It might be closed, but that doesn't stop me. If I'm 2 hours from the Saunders Museum, I'll make a phone call or two and see if I can't bully my way into there. And that might be 3 museums that I haven't actually stood in yet. And then that's up to 5 or 6 that we've already visited. And then again, if we're not, it depends on how well the campaign goes. And this is a campaign, and I guess this is a telethon. So if you're watching this and you're not part of the campaign, it's not like it's illegal, right? It's not like you're not allowed to be here or nothing. It's just that you're not paying to be here, and everybody else who, this 34 people who are back in the project, paid for the food you're eating and paid for this awesome two-way experience that you're horking off of. But there's no obligation, even though you could jump in for as low as $2 or whatever and be part of something. You don't have to. You could watch this for free. Bloomberg's watching this for free. All of his agents that try to figure out what we're doing so that they can pay somebody to figure out what to do, those people are watching this for free, because we do it live, because we're not trying to do this as some kind of secret or whatever, because I don't think this is the key to nothing. I just think this is an effort. And we're going to try to raise $3,000. That's such an amount of money that the world's going to end. But it's more than I've got, and it's what I need to be able to pay some bills and stuff, fix up the brakes on the van, this one mainly, and then put some spark plugs in there. And ironically, or maybe synergetically or whatever, this is the spark plug that I can't get out. So again, maybe I can find somebody out there that's got a lift and that has changed that effing spark plug in this type of van before, in a Chevy 2002 3500 V8 regular gas. And that dang spark plug right there needs some sort of like Rubberman double hinged thing. And I got to take this wheel out. So I've never changed the spark plugs on it, and that's getting on my nerves. So that's something that this $1,300 is going to pay for. The brakes underneath of there, depending how well the campaign goes. We still have 3 days, and it's only a 4-day campaign, so it's still pretty new. Maybe even some ball joints. Holy shit, right? Ball joints. I could actually steer and not have the steering wheel just decide to go cattywonk whenever it feels like it. That's really all the van needs. There's a little gasket back here that I'll fiddle with, and then now that I've got a little time, I can actually fiddle with my alternate battery back here and figure out what's going on with my LED lights. But that's it. I don't have any built-in, office or anything. There's like an $89 dual monitor that I leave in there that I got out of Walmart one time. It's a TV that I use as a dual monitor with the laptop I drag with me, and we throw some blankets in the back and some dog food, and we're on our way. So this money is going to go to pay some bills that make it possible for us to be on the road and not doing little things here and there to pay all the bills. And then gas and food. So a lot of this is just now an effort to add to our experiences with firearms museums. So we're calling this the Tulsa trip. And we wanted to go to the biggest gun show in the world, but I guess I could easily go in and tag that to let's all go to the 2 new gun museums. But the whole thing has already been sort of branded / focused on getting to Tulsa for that show, but then encompassing other stuff. So that's what we'll do, is we'll just focus on all the other stuff. And like I say, it's actually pretty cool. And I'll talk about it here in a minute. We're going to be able to save some money because the show was only on Saturday and Sunday. So that means I had to be in Tulsa for the show on Saturday and Sunday. And since Tulsa closes, or Oklahoma really closes on Monday for whatever reason, that's sort of just a weird puzzle piece that you can't ever really fit with other things. So you either have to hang out in Tulsa to be able to see more stuff and lose a day of not seeing stuff, or do something else. So so we've got, with that removed, that's a puzzle piece that we don't have to deal with its weird edges, I guess. So we got all kinds of potential here. The museums will still be closed in Oklahoma, but there's still lots of ways to play with that. And there's a couple of things in Tulsa to check out that aren't things that need to be open or whatever. So we'll talk about how to participate in it here in a second. But really, one of the goals here, one of the features of what we do, of our projects overall, would be trying to share our Second Amendment, and not just our experiences of it, but what is out there. And one of the things that I'm a big fan of personally, and I think is underrated and underdeveloped, is our firearms museums. There's a lot of them. There's 30 that I've been to. There's 60 of them that I know of. And then there's more if you count, a cool display at a VFW hall, or a gun display, or a gun being in a just in a diorama at some other kind of museum, like an art museum or a culture museum or something. So there's lots and lots of potential to focus on our Second Amendment, our history, and why it's important, and just, again, little catalysts that allow other things to materialize or catalyze or crystallize. Museums are awesome, and they're all over the place. They're distributed. They often have roots in the area. You know, they are all over, and the reason for that is because they're focused on, you know, what happened there, events or I don't know, inventions or things like that. So there's tons of them, and it's super neat. And as I've explored them, again, they really, none of them individually have any resources to promote themselves other than any little museum might. But like any museum that's focused on a topic, you know, you're only going to be able, you might reach out as much as you can, but you're only going to find so many people that are interested in guns, period. Then a subset of them are interested in gun history, and a subset of them are interested enough to go to a museum, and then a subset of them decide to go to your museum. So it's a lot of wasted effort on their part, and that's just the way it is. Again, I'm not complaining, I'm just observing. So how do you change that? One way is to go the other direction and go to the people who are interested, and the people that chat about this stuff, and to promote or make aware of these museums just in general. So I tried to do that through the websites. I've done that through the websites over the years, but measure success, right? Who knows? The museums aren't bursting at the seams with visitors, so I'm going to take that as a measure that it's been unsuccessful alone. So to amplify that, or to add to that, as we got the printer and started writing some books this year, it was one of the first ones, one of the ones I've had in mind for a while now, is to make a passport of firearms museums. So with that theme, there's probably a video out there, I think. Actually, there is probably a video, and that might be a way I can take a second and quit talking, because this is not my favorite thing to do. Just chat and chat and chat. This is super exhausting. I guess it's not as exhausting when you don't smoke or nothing. Let's see. I'm gonna search for it over here, huh? And then that would be, what did I call it? Museum? No, I made a book, but I don't know if I actually posted it on the YouTube or not. Might just be easier to look for it. I don't post that many videos. Nope, there it is. All right, so we'll just watch this video for the next 4 minutes, and can't believe they canceled the show all year long. I've been waiting. Heck yeah, me too. Not just going, because I really hadn't planned on going. Like a lot of people, my plans changed to go because of other things were canceled, and it became more and more interesting to go this time. So yeah, that's, for me, it's not just that it got canceled, but that it got canceled after, you know, I had already kind of re-hedged my bets onto it, or re-hedged my what's the word? Anticipation onto it. Two Gun Kitty saying, such a bummer, was looking forward to attending. Need to buy a gun to get over it. I guess that might help. I'm the other way. I'm not even that. There's a couple of guns I won't sell, but I mean, I'm looking forward to selling some. I'd rather see the resources redistributed to some other projects. I'm just gonna go through and read some things, since nobody's jumping in from Patreon. I gotta do this all myself anyway, and I can run it however I want, I guess. So we're just gonna scroll down, start reading. So Kevin in New York was first one. Well, not the first one. Whoever this is, Alpha Addy. I don't know who that is, but thanks for jumping in. And then Kevin in New York's first one, I recognize the name of. Bummer, yeah, that sucks. But like say, make dude's about to say here in a second, make apple juice out of apples that are thrown at you. No way, I forget how that saying goes. Why do they wait so long? Because I'm guessing, and like I said here, they're trying hard to keep it going. I'll bet you they did not want to cancel that thing, and it probably just got too hard. And I'm also thinking they probably were waiting until after election, like I would have hoped the SAR show would have done. Well, I keep saying it. Like I would have hoped SHOT Show would have done. I guess, you know, with the results of the election, it looks like what SHOT Show would have done is cave anyway, but at least we would have had the option. But at the same time, I can't even imagine promoting these things. I can mansplain how to promote these things, and I can sideline promote these things, tell them how to do it. I can critique really good, but I technically haven't. I haven't technically promoted SHOT Show yet, or the largest gun show in the world yet. But I ain't dead yet either, and you don't know what's happening yet tomorrow. And then he said good afternoon. I hope really bummer. I was hoping that the show would get done before the stuff. Yeah, see, I don't know. I don't know. Unfortunately, I don't want to get too off a topic, but yeah, whatever. I agree with you. I wish they would have kept the show going, but I'd rather just not see everybody be so focused on that other crap. But I can wish all day long. I wish people weren't so focused on 9mm and y'all still shoot it all the dang time. I can't. Well, I can only imagine how much pressure they were under by the city. Yeah, exactly. And probably getting a lot of people bailing, maybe. I don't know. See, that's something that'd be interesting to talk to them. Find out if they're like, dang it, like this really bothers us. Or if they're like, oh, we didn't even want to do it, but, we felt we had to. And then finally we decided, no, even though we don't want to do it, we're not going to do it. So I don't know. I doubt that was their reaction, but it would be interesting if they're interested to try to talk to them about it. Yeah, I have no idea. I'm sure that's what it is, but I can only assume. So I put on that Instagram thing. But did you die? Because I think that's some video game thing. It's what the kids say today. So you got to say stuff that the kids say to get their attention. So I'm going to start putting Baby Yoda on everything. That'll get their attention. There's Gizzard. You could also put a baby chicken on things. That'll get other people's attention. When they give you lemon, you punch them into lemonade or shoot them into lemonade. Like we could shoot the lemon with a 9mm at the bottom, and that'll puncture a small hole. And then you shoot the lemon with a 45 ACP. Bam! That smushes the lemon, and it all squirts out that hole at the bottom. Then you don't just have a mess. You've got nice lead-infused lemon drink. Good advice. I agree. People say hello to Gizzard. So we talked about SAR before. Thanks again for that. But I mistakenly said that SAR was ended when it actually has just been modified. It's only a SAR show. So no matter what we do on this tour, I guess one of the things we can go look at, I haven't posted it over here yet. I just barely made those maps yesterday, but I have made a couple of maps that are posted. Oh, you know where I posted them? I posted them on YouTube. So we can go, oh wait, no, did I post them on YouTube? No, I didn't post them on YouTube. Under the community tab, which if you're not using your community tab, you're not really part of the community. No, I didn't post the links up here, but I need to post the link somewhere, I suppose. I guess I have them on Instagram. Anyway, came up with a couple of different routes, and whichever the routes we end up taking, we definitely want to be back by SAR show, because even if it's a modified SAR show, going to fucking SAR show. All right, let's see. I just found your channel yesterday, seen where you were talking about Pitcher, Oklahoma. Oh, okay, right. I saw that your comment about that. Let's see. So yeah, Pitcher, Oklahoma. You were calling them chat piles, so I wasn't sure if that was a typo or if that's the name for those things. So is that what they call? Like I would call them tailings. Out here we call them tailings. It's like the other stuff that you pull out of the hole when you're looking for gold or silver, in this case lead. So yeah, one of the reasons I'm going back to Tulsa is because north of Tulsa, not even that far north of Tulsa, is where all the lead, well, most all of the lead for World War II. So all the bullets and everything else made out of lead, all the batteries for World War II, for the cell phones and stuff, all that stuff was dug out of these holes near Tulsa, Oklahoma. And I went through there coming back from the DC rally, but I was in a big hurry. And I think I was going to eat breakfast or something. Was it the time when Pawnery said, hey, let's meet for breakfast at 7 a.m. and then blew me off? No, that was a different time that Pawnery said, let's meet for breakfast at 7 a.m. and then blew me off. But anyway, I was trying to meet somebody for breakfast, I think. and I blew through that town. But I did drive around it a little bit because it's pretty awesome, and I like looking at old mines and shit. So I'm pretty sure I seen a chunk of lead that was taller than my van, probably weighed more than my van. I'm guessing, but I'm pretty sure it was just a giant cube of lead. And I anyway, I want to go back there and see if that was actually the case, and if so, try to hork over there and get a picture of my van next to it. Um, so and plus, I'm not like one of these people that go to what are those called, super fun sites, but it seems like if there's a super fun site that's so toxic everyone had to move, I feel like I want to poke around there. Like I want to go hang out there for a while. That's one of the ways you can tell if you're weakly or not. If you're sickly and you're weakly, you go hang out at places like that, and then you just die, and then you know right away. But if you can live through that, then you know that you could probably live through stuff like that. Blame it on Snob. He could have been pulling his weight. I'm just saying. Where's he? Does he have a live show to make the show happen? Is he putting up plastic everywhere? He could have put up plastic. Did anyone stop him from putting up plastic between 4,200 tables? Just saying. Blame Night Strike, I suppose. Did GunTube go in there and save the day? I don't know. Is there any GunTube lube cleaning off all the walls or whatever they would do with it? I don't even know what they would do with it, but he certainly did atomize it into some kind of a mixture that would pull all the sickness from the air. I don't know. We could blame everybody, but I'd rather blame like Biden or somebody who's a jerk instead of people that ain't. Left over from lead mining. If you wanted, you could go to Kansas a bit and see Big Brutus, a huge. Oh shit, I know all about that, and I would definitely see that. That's one of those things that was bugging me about having to haul ass to the show anyway. So here's the deal: this is a Indiegogo project, and if you read the fine print down here where it says flexible goal, y'all suckers are still paying for this trip, even though they canceled the thing. And thing is, I can't really go until it reaches way more than this, but I'll certainly get the van fixed up and be going to Tulsa at some point. But if we can keep going on this, then I'm still on this trip, and I will. And anyway, because I was having to haul ass to Tulsa, that means I couldn't really see anything except that one museum on the way there. But now, yeah, I can definitely spend some time looking at stuff. And that's the kind of thing I want to get a picture of my van next to it. Because from what I understand, it's just sitting in the middle of a big field because Kansas really doesn't have fences or hills or trees or anything. So you can just drive up to everything in Kansas. And from what I understand, you can just drive up next to that thing. So I definitely want a picture of my van. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to park, like, let's say that this thing here was Big Brutus and this is my van. I'm going to park just like that, but I'm going to put my camera right here so it looks like my van is bigger than that thing. And then I'm going to be like, Big Brutus, question mark. But no, I know all about that. It's about 15 miles, north about 15 miles is Big Brutus. Oh, are you kidding me? That dug those mines? I didn't know that part. From Tulsa, you go through Pitcher to get to it. Oh, I did not. That means I drove through it because here's how I went. I got to find a map. I came from stupid Missouri and I went across like Joplin and I did this crazy left hook thing through Kansas. So I bet you I went right there. So they would just take this giant shovel like what you'd see in a cartoon. It's like an exaggerated cartoon version of a steam shovel. I need to find Google. This is better production when anybody joins me, which there's links on Patreon. So any of my 180 Patreons can jump in here. None of them are. They're all watching me. Just have to sit here and do this all. And then do this. There we go. All right. So now we're looking at a map of the world. I'll Google, which actually has the only good maps. Boom. So now we get to Tulsa. Boom. And now we're going to flip it to satellite view. So there's Tulsa, and there's Joplin. So we're going to leave Tulsa, and we're like, oh, let's just go to Springfield, Missouri. And then you're like, what the hell, Miami? I thought we were in Oklahoma, not Florida. But then if you go north from there, you're like, oh, look at this big city. Like here's Joplin. Look how big the white blotches are all houses and stuff. But if you zoom into this, these white blotches are environmental massacres where there's the industrial complex or whatever ravaged the earth, Mother Earth, and stole all of our lead material so they can make it into bullet projectiles and kill people with them. And you're saying that Big Brutus, can I see it from space? What are all these? Are these shooting ranges? No, you know what that is? Gizzard knows what that is. Let's see. Let's go find Big Brutus. You said 10 miles. I'm guessing this is a mile. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Is it in Columbus? I don't see him from space. I'm trying to remember some video or show I watched. I might have watched a whole movie about it, or a part of a movie was about it or something. I got the impression he was sitting in a big field by himself, though. Miami? Oh, yeah. 2 moons over Miami. It sound like that. Doesn't sound right. Big Brutus? How do you spell Brutus? Boom. Yeah, see, he's just sitting in the middle of nowhere doing his own business. So, where are we? We don't need this. Oh, that's way far away. 10 miles. More like 15 miles. All right, so then, oh yeah, he's totally in the middle of nowhere. So look at this. Just in the middle of nowhere. Nobody even knows what he's doing there. Do they even know he's still there? And then you just go over here. Oh, there's some kind of RV park there. What a scam. Boom. And then you can drop your little virtual dude. Oh man, what am I inside of Brutus? Oh, nobody wants to be inside of Brutus. You can go inside of there? That's pretty cool. Can I be next to him or what? I'm going to go over here to the street because I don't want to keep going inside of him. It seems weird to be inside of him. You're like, oh yeah, this is Kansas. Oh, you kidding me? So this is the way they decided to make their picture. They're like, oh, I'm going to take a Google picture. Oh yeah, this is a beautiful cornfield. Oh, what a beautiful. Oh, this is the perfect spot for a picture. Who cares if there's a giant thing behind this effing tree over here? Oh yeah, there it is. Yeah, great picture. Idiot Google. I'm gonna go down over here now. So I'm gonna get between the damn trees, I guess. There we go. Boom. Oh, I'm looking at his butt. Let's look at his butt. Go over here, way over here, I guess you have to go. Oh, and there's trees in the way. So that means you got to go way over here to get a good shot. Maybe that's why they came over here, because they're like, oh, look at these garbage cans. These are some of the nicest looking garbage cans in all of Kansas. Oh, beautiful. Look how clean they are. And they got a little thing here so they could put a sign there telling you all the rules of the garbage area, and it's not going to get rained on. Oh, look at that cornfield. Oh, my God. And then there's this giant thing right here. And I don't even know. Is there even a van for scale? They don't even have any humans or anything for scale. But this is your typical dump truck. And then that's that giant dude there. Pretty neat. And it looks like you can, oh no, you can't. I was gonna say it looks, oh yeah, it's got an anti-gun law. It's got a gun law type of sign or gate. So here's the gun law, and then here's the route that everyone takes to go do whatever they want. Nice. All visitors must enter through museum. I'm not gonna enter through the museum. I'm gonna enter through this open gate right here, like Google did. You can tell Google's shadow, the shadow gives it away. Google already went through that gate, so I'm going through that gate also. So I guess you got to go to some museum. That probably means you got to pay money to look at a big thing. I don't like paying money to look at stuff. I'll go into their parking lot and look at it for nothing. I bet you I can get. See how they do this intentionally? They make it so you're only looking at the butt unless you pay money and go in there and look at the good side. Lame. I feel like they're exploiting Brutus. Let's see if I can just drive into. Oh, they strategically put it next to a river so you can't just drive around over here. Assholes. Look at how they made this into a moat. They used Brutus to cut a big moat so you can't even drive around to look at Brutus from the other side. What I'm going to do is I'm going to drive across this land bridge. By law, they probably had to leave a land bridge here. And then I'll just off-road the van over through here to wherever this tree or rock is over here. And then, boom. Then I'll have an even better picture of Brutus with some water from that moat he dug. Nice. Anyway, I don't know if I'm going to go to see Brutus because he's kind of not in the middle of anywhere I'm going. If I was going from Tulsa to Dodge City, he's not really in the way. And that's sort of a long way to go to pay money to look at a big thing because I can look at it for free right here. And if I went to the Nebraska Panhandle, where it turns out nobody goes this time of year, I would literally be going way up here, and he's not really in the way to that either. However, now let's see, it's a bunch of howevers. Here's Tulsa, and here is Rogers, and that's where the BB gun museum is. Berryville is where that other museum is. So if I end up going to Tulsa, and then going to Rogers, and then going to Berryville, now Brutus is west of me. There's no way to. Oh, you know where I'd like to go? There is. Anybody ever been to Branson? You ever heard of Branson, Missouri? Somewhere over here, they've got a Bass Club, Bass Pro. I think Bass Pro owns some sort of thing over here that's like an elaborate rich people shotgun shooting range. Let me see if I can't scam a way to see if there's an open gate and go in there. Look at it. So much for no trees. Those could easily be CGI trees. This is Google. We don't know what they put in there. They're trying to CGI a bunch of trees for your carbon footprint. Mickey Mantle and Steve Owens are from Miami. I don't know who those people are. Oh, is that sports people? I've heard of Mickey Mantle. I don't know who Steve Owens is. I did that. See all that water? That's the strip mines. Oh, what water? What water? Oh, here? Strip pits, state wildlife. Oh, I see what you're saying. So this is all the result of Big Brutus just scraping up most of Kansas? I'd be pissed. And then he didn't even put nothing back, so it just turned into a bunch of crazy lakes. Huh. Is that lead also? That can't be lead. That had to be something else. Because the lead, I thought they left all this white stuff. Unless they trucked all the white stuff and stuck it over here. They're like, screw pitcher. They were digging up all the lead and dropping it over here just to piss them off. So I assume these were holes, and then they just dug the stuff, like all the lead, out of a hole and left it laying next to the hole. I guess I have no idea. I've only barely seen a couple of, like one movie that mentioned it, and then I think I looked into it and found a couple of YouTube videos that talked about this stuff. All right. Do you think, what the hell are you talking about? I got a mosquito here bugging. Big Cedar Lodge, Springfield. Well, the Big Bass Pro is in Springfield. Man, that is not that close. Is somebody here that knows how far it is between Tulsa and Springfield? For me, it was 2 days. I'm pretty sure I left here, went to here, stayed overnight, went to the stuff, and then came down here. So I did it and it was at night. So I don't remember. I know I was here at night and I stayed over here at night, but I don't remember. I don't have a good, I know I've driven back and forth between here. I just don't remember if that's like if this is 2 hours, he said. Or what did he say? Rogers is an hour and a half. So maybe that's 3 hours. Man, I don't know. We're not really strategizing on this one. Maybe we are a little bit on this one, but the thing about the Springfield, the NRA museum in Springfield, well, first, everybody's given up on the NRA. So when it burns, I'm guessing Bloomberg's just going to buy the museums, dump them in the ocean. So it might be worth going to the Springfield Museum. I went to it not knowing what it was all about, and if you've never been to Springfield, Missouri, like it's a whole nother thing, right? So now that I understand it a little bit better and know where the place is and all that, I think I could spend a day at that museum easily. Like easily a day at the museum and then a few hours in the store. Even though I don't like all that stuff, you need 2 hours just to experience how much you don't like it, you know. Can you answer the question? No. Can you read what this topic is about? Branson is another 45 minutes or so from Springfield. Oh, well, I've never been to Branson, but Branson is where that Big Cedar Lodge is. That's the thing I'm thinking about. And I don't know if you got to have, I don't know what that is. It seems like it's in the middle of some sort of like gated community or something. So I don't know if you need like a reason to be there or if I could just drive up. I tried looking at it on Google Maps a bunch of times, and uh, because it's like private property or something, they don't really have the whole place mapped out. They just sort of have a vague version of a satellite view of it. So I'm not really sure if it's worth driving to it or what. And I got no interest really in promoting Bass Pro. The one museum is in a Bass Pro, and like I say, even though I'm not a big fan of Bass Pro necessarily, it would. I mean, it's unique, so it would be worth spending an hour or something walking around that store. Um, and then there's some kind of an aquarium or something there. If anybody's been to the Springfield Bass Pro, where the museum is, there's some sort of an aquarium there, and I don't have. I know that it's there because I've seen it, but I didn't even walk over there, so I don't know if that's something that's worth spending any time at or not. I only care about fish about as far as I could wing a whale. So, and I don't hate fish, but I don't really have any passion for fish either. Um, Now you're talking the museum at the Springfield Museum, or I mean the museum at the Bass Pro in Springfield. It's not very big. You're right. It's not physically a very big museum, but it's an amazing museum. It's one of not. I can't say it's one of my favorites. It's one that impressed me a lot because everybody who had been there and told me about it just said it's not very big and it's not that much to it. And that's, I think, a factor of it being in a Bass Pro. Because while it's not very big, the significance of the guns there is amazing. And it really is a lot of pieces of history that are crazy cool. And they're presented in a unique way because it's in like all glass and it's on the second floor above the gun section of the biggest Bass Pro in the world. It's like as big as a whole mall, but it's like one store. And the gun section is as big as like a really big guns, the biggest gun shops basically. And then you're above that looking down at it, and you're looking down at it through a window, which is a display that has guns that are completely significant in shooting history, mostly competition and world records and exhibition shooting and shit like that. But that kind of stuff is neat. And again, the fact that it's not like this is the kind of gun that Annie Oakley shot, or this is the kind of gun that a guy spent 4 days all day long shooting 22s at blocks of wood and didn't miss any. Can you imagine shooting for 4 days, 8 hours or something each day? All you're doing is pump, bang, pump, bang, pump, bang to shoot like 4 million blocks or some shit. Like there's that gun is sitting there. Like I didn't even know that was a thing. Just amazing stuff. And because it's in a Bass Pro, it's probably like a bunch of kids eating cotton candy going, are we going to see the fish? And their dads are trying to run them through there, or their moms are trying to push the carts through there. And she finds out, all about her heroes in shooting sports. Maybe some hunting stuff too. There was some kind of tusks or skulls, maybe, but not like the Whittingham Center would be probably more of their, I think they would call that more of their hunting. And not that it's really hunting either. But anyway, so the touch of hunting, mostly competition, but I only barely gave it a walkthrough because I wasn't anticipating all it was cool there. And now that I've done a lot more, and these are nerd guns too. They're not like amazing looking guns or the coolest looking things. They're just nerd guns that are pieces of history that the NRA had and didn't have room for them in their other museums. So when they built this one, they handpicked all the coolest stuff. So it's like what a whole bunch of gun nerds knew what are the nerdiest of gun nerds and or the nerdiest of guns, and they stuck them into that museum. And like I say, it is what it is. But I could definitely go back there now and experience it, absorb it more. There's also a bow hunting museum or bow and arrow museum right next to it, and I'd probably give that more attention. I barely walked through it because I was looking for the bathroom, and then the hunting part I think was closed or something. So anyway, I could potentially see going back to Springfield and spending a whole day there. All right, so I'm gonna flip back to, this is the regular kind of map. I guess when we get out, we'll get past all those little streets. I was gonna go back to this video before and then I never played it. So I am gonna play it, and that'll give me a chance to shut up. I will mention again that if you're a Patreon, one of the people that subscribe to what we do, much like when I subscribed to Popular Mechanics when I was a kid, or Popular Science, because I appreciated the content of what they were putting out, and I wanted, maybe I didn't enjoy every single issue. Like I don't care about a blimp or something, let's say, or how to build a refrigerator out of peanut butter. But when I did care about an issue, I was happy that I was getting something like that at the time before there was internet that was, delivered to me and everything. So very much like that, the people that subscribe to us, we use the system called Patreon for that, and they have links. And anybody that wants to visit Patreon can jump in here, and that way I don't have to talk the whole time. I was planning on going until Clover starts. So we're going to play this. I'll collect my thoughts and maybe check some emails and stuff. And then, like I say, this was an unplanned reaction to the canceling of the big show. So I'll kind of gather my stuff together here and see if I'm forgetting something or missing to pay a giant bill. That's usually the kind of stuff I have to worry about. And if everything's good, we'll continue on up until when CloverTax starts his show. And that's one of the things I have to go double check when that show starts. So for until then, I'm going to run this 4-minute video where we talk about the book, the Firearms Museum book, one of the books that we created this year. After visiting 30-something firearms museums, I knew that all the things I mentioned before, that these things are important and have a lot of potential for our community. And then as I was getting back from, 60,000 miles, 3 years worth of tour, 29 states, 30 museums, 200 gun shops, I'm watching YouTube, and there was this meeting that I never get invited to where all the gun museums, all the firearms museums that are in this clique together, they get together each year and they mope and they go, oh, nobody goes to our gun show, or nobody goes to our firearms museums, and we're so bad, or we're so miserable, blah, blah, blah. And then they ask quote unquote experts what to do. And then the experts go, oh, quit being boring and lame. Or they just go, oh, you're doomed. Anyway, so that pissed me off. And that sparked, I don't watch something like that and go, that was annoying, I'm going to complain about it. I do something about it. And what I did is I started building a passport book. Came up with the idea of, and here's how I came up with the idea, because the Forest Service uses this idea. They get people to go to different forests by having a passport book. And then when you go to a forest, you get a stamp in your passport book. And then you even get more elaborate for little kids and stuff. So to encourage old people to go to their forests, they created a passport book. So I went through the complicated math of going, hey, why don't we do that for firearms museums? And then I came up with some art and the concept, and I gave that to everybody who I knew and couldn't do anything about it. And they all went, oh, yeah, that's neat. So then, again, a lot of people would go, oh, man, that's so nobody took my idea and ran with it or whatever. So I took my own fucking idea and ran with it, turned it into this book. It took a little while till I got a printer and figured out how to turn things in half and staple them right. And I'm still not perfect at it, but it works. It's enough to be satisfied with that it exists. And the movie here will tell you, or the fucking video here will show you the book. But this is what the whole tour is about: getting out, seeing museums, and making people aware of what's in our backyards. There's 30 of them. I've been to 30 states on this tour, and there's gun museums in every one of them. It's something that we all have access to. And imagine a world where each museum had a couple of YouTube channels that were the same as, like, foster a pet or something. So collaborative, allies. Anyway, I'm going to shut up and do what I said I was going to do. And then we'll go back to answering more questions, and I'll keep dodging important issues or whatever. And then we'll talk about more stuff about the tour that will still go on in spite of the antis and the mopes encouraging apathy and stagnation. I want to take a look at one of our latest projects, our newest product over at the Gear Website Store, and the newest book in our 2A library. It's Volume 1 of U.S. Firearms Museums. This is a concept to bring our firearms museums into people's awareness, onto people's radar, so hopefully they'll visit them and into people's conversations. So it's a 30-page book. It's about cargo pocket size. Front cover, we've got the passport art that we came up with. On the back cover, we've got a map of the states with a passport stamp for each of the firearms museums that we visited on our gun
GunShow Loophole tour over the years. And a little line showing you where they are in the country. There's about 30 of them, almost 30 of them listed there, and it might seem like a lot, but that's only about half of the firearms museums in the country. So this is volume one. We'll follow up with some of the museums that we haven't visited. Hopefully by then we'll have visited them. So as you open up the book, the back of the front cover is a description of the project and our tour and what we're hoping to do with the book. And then the second page here is a table of contents, and you can see it's one museum per page, a couple of exceptions. And since we visited just about all of these museums personally, we want to offer information about the photography conditions as well as the accessibility conditions. So on each of the pages, you'll find information if they're using some kind of walker or having walking issues, if you've got a chair. Not just necessarily if there's like an uneven floor or if there's ramps or stuff like that, but in addition, from a perspective of a gun owner, like for example, the Texas Rangers Hall of Fame, it's an old building, so it's got some pretty bad tile floors, but there's so many good guns in there that it's worth getting past that. So we try to get that across with that descriptions. But otherwise, it's one page per museum. You get information about the museum, when they were built. They're in chronological order, so as you go through the book, that's the order that they were built. The number of firearms they've got, a description of our experiences at the museum, their contact information, and again, information about the photography and accessibility conditions. And then we've drawn a cartoon for each of the museums. Now, there are a couple of exceptions. One is that we've got the non-public reference collections included. And we did that because we also have this list of all the firearms museums again, but this time in order of the number of firearms they have. So you can see, for example, how big Dragon Man's private collection, it's his personal museum, is compared to the other firearms museums that we've got out there. But also, so you can see how big those reference collections are, the ATF and the FBI have, for example, that are ours. We just can't see them. Anyway, we have a one page per museum. As we dig through to the back, there are also the Army museums listed, as well as the Air Force museums. And although I haven't visited all of those, we've listed them here. Ran out of pages though, so couldn't include Navy, but we are going to have a volume 2. So we'll include the Navy museums and the various submarines and things like that, as well as this list of firearms museums. Like I said, there's a whole bunch of them that we didn't include. This is just the ones that we visited. But the idea here is to get people jived up on getting out and visiting these museums, and so that you can keep track of which ones you visited. We're going to include this little mini passport. In fact, I'll include as many of these as you need reasonably every time you buy one of the books, so that you can keep track of which museums you visited. So the little tiny passport book here is another version of the book, a little table of contents, and it's got the museums listed, little cartoons, and then a little checkbox so you can keep track of which museums you visited. Like say if you need a couple of those, let us know. This is a project that allows us to, or when you purchase this project at our Care website store, it allows us to work on other projects. We were able to work on this project because of our Patreon. So these are the people that made it possible for us to create this project, and we want to thank them. And we want to thank you for watching. If there's any questions, of course, let us know in the comments. Until next time, thanks for watching.
All right, so that is the passport book, and the reason we talked about that is that's one of the perks for our campaign. So we are talking about a campaign, a fundraising campaign that we're doing on the Indiegogo crowdfunding platform to take a tour of some firearms museums, some new to us firearms museums, depending on how well the campaign goes, potentially a new firearms museum. They're rebuilding the Dodge City Boot Hill Museum in Dodge City, Kansas. So if we're able to get past that one, which I think I figured out just as we were talking earlier, how to do a route that gets us through that one. That might actually literally be a new museum. I don't know if they're pulling the guns over to the new one or what the schedule is on that, but something we'll find out about. Anyway, we have this campaign going up until just today. We had all anticipated meeting at the Tulsa Gun Show, a gun show that happens twice a year for 65 years. And I'm distracted. So I'm going to take a second and return an email that I just barely read as that thing was ending, and it ain't going to work. I was trying to go on with doing some show by myself, but real life happens and I got to respond to this email. So I need to go do that, and y'all can sit here and ask questions, I guess, and then eventually I will go over there and answer some of those questions or address some of them. If you're a Patreon, jump into the Patreon stuff and use the link and join it. And in a minute, I will be less distracted, but at the moment, I am distracted. So, dang it. I have everything on 2 drives, and every time I'm looking for something like this, when there's somebody looking over my shoulder, what do? I go to the wrong drive. And when I go to this drive, I was asked for 2 things specifically, and I don't really have one thing that has both things, so I immediately have to get 2 different things. But I have to figure out where the hell the dang things are. I'm just gonna send this. So, oh wait, I have this. All right, and that's what happens when you have to do this without anybody chiming in to help. You don't get any co-hosts, you get dead air, and this will fly. What happens, I think, is when my mouse moves around the screen, the little flies see that and they go, "Oh, something's happening over there. It's a bunch of flies hanging out on that screen or whatever, jumping around." And they go try to hang out with the mouse cursor, unless they're in front of your eyes, right? Let's see. All right, that's at least a response, even though it's not exactly what they wanted. All right, and now I can close this and we get back to talking about whatever we're talking about. I'm going to refresh since this is a thing. I'm going to first grab the little link. For some reason, they want you to click on this. I guess it's a shorter link. That's why they put this little thingy over here. So since they put the little thingy over there, I use it. Usually when they put a little thingy, that's what they're looking for. This is just a little bit longer. Yeah, so I don't know what the deal is. Anyway, I'm going to hit refresh and we'll see if it's gone up at all. We had 34 backers before, went up to 36 backers, so that's pretty cool. This isn't curing cancer. We're not solving any problems here. We are simply attempting to be a barrier to the erosion. We are simply attempting to peel back a little bit. We're simply attempting to add a little bit, right, to paint another layer on. We understand that here that our projects are rungs in ladders. We're not looking to be the finish line. We don't suggest where the ribbon that needs to be broken or that there's some plateau we're about to crest and then we can rest. Eternal vigilance. That's the motto. Maybe it's not our motto. We have a better motto. But something that we definitely go by is eternal vigilance, and that means getting used to doing the work. If you're in one of them suckers that mows lawn, you already know what I'm talking about. If you're one of them suckers that shovels snow, you know what I'm talking about. I'm in Arizona, except for being a blue state now. Arizona's pretty awesome. We don't have grass to mow. We don't have any snow to deal with. Very few people comb their sand, right? Pretty chill as far as being beholden to some sort of garbage like that. We can xeriscape, which means put cactuses and low water use plants in our yards, throw a couple of decorative rocks, and we don't spend any attention at all in our yards, right? I guess some people, that is the opposite of what they want to spend their time doing, right? But whatever. I'm not going to get into whether or not a grass-filled yard is good for the world or not, good for your life or not, right? If you love it, then you love it. Doesn't matter. We all know what cutting the grass is like, and that's what 2A is about. Cutting grass. You don't get no award for cutting grass. You get in trouble if you don't cut grass. You'll live in filth and slop if you don't cut grass. Raccoons and mosquitoes and snakes and shit come live right up next to your shit. Your house starts to rot. Your value goes down. Your neighborhood value goes down. Assholes start to move in next door because of cheap, houses, and nobody cares, and it gets worse. So there's some bad results of never cutting your grass and being cool with people who don't cut their grass. But for the most part, people that cut their grass ain't doing it for some reward. They ain't doing it because you get a better neighborhood by cutting your grass. You just get the potential of a better neighborhood. You get better odds, or maybe just a hair better odds. You enjoy your life better. Your wife yells at you less. Your kids have more fun in the yard. Your husband, I don't know. Are there many wives? You'll have to tell me if there's many wives out there that cut yards. I don't know. How many woke wives are there? Is it not woke for a wife to cut the yard? I don't know. So there's probably tons of woke wives out there that understand that it's not a man's job to cut the yard, that it's her responsibility as well as anybody else's to keep that yard mowed. But again, I'm not going to cause people to get divorced based off of their yards. That's their decision to get a yard, right? They're the ones that wanted a lawn. What we're talking about here is 2A and eternal vigilance, and whether or not you think 2A is some sort of ribbon that you run up and you break it and you go, yeah, and then there's a bunch of fanfare and you get a big thing of, I don't know, milk or champagne or something that you're going to suck on. And then, I don't know, a big bunch of flowers get put around you and 2A's over. Now you get to go buy another gun or whatever. I don't even wish it was like that. That seems pretty stupid and lame. So it ain't like that. In real life, it's like mowing the damn lawn. You mow the lawn and then your lawnmower breaks and you got to buy another lawnmower. And nobody cares. And you still got to buy another lawnmower and then you got to mow the lawn with it. Some people, they love their lawnmowers. They make a big deal about it and they paint them. And other people I'm kind of this way. My lawnmower is a tool like a shovel. And as long as it ain't like full of cow shit, it's going into the shed. And whenever I need it again, I knock the mud and crap that's all dried off now off of it. And I go on. And if it was covered in cow shit, I spray with a hose and then I put it in the shed, right? I'm not spending a ton of time worrying about my shovel. On the other hand, I understand buying a decent shovel, it's going to last a lifetime. And I understand buying a dollar shovel, it's going to last a project or a season. Because if I'm going to shove that shovel into hot tar, I'm not going to shove my grandpa's shovel into hot tar and then have to clean it and have to worry about if I ruin it. I'm going to shove a dollar shovel from China into there that I can clean maybe or discard, right? So different tools for different things. 2A, same way. That's what we're talking about here is changing paradigm, changing attitude, and changing the mode of how we 2A. So just like anything, we get dealt a kick in the nuts. We fucking stand the fuck up and go, and then figure out how to keep going, even though I got kicked in the nuts. So we got kicked in the nuts. We got our show taken down. We're going to go anyway. So I'll hit refresh, see if that motivated a bunch of people to be like, F yeah, I'm throwing $2 at this dude. Did that just happen? 2 more people jumped on board. I'm not really keeping track of the money because I'm more worried about the 36 people. That's pretty cool. So here, let's say you're out there moping. Oh, everything's horrible and the world's going to end and blah, blah, blah. And people tell me it's horrible. People that get paid to watch, to have me watch, tell me that something's horrible. More like people that get paid to have people return feed to the fears and weaknesses of people who are desperate to be consoled with fear and whatever. So if you get caught into that cycle, they're not there for you. They're there to feed whoever stumbles by, right? That trap isn't set for you. That trap is just set. Figure out what traps are and walk around them and then live your life not worrying about traps anymore. So I'm thinking about this 36 people, and I'm thinking about the people out there that might be going, oh, I shouldn't be on Patreon because that's a handout. I shouldn't be doing a crowdfunding project because that's for somebody else, or it's wrong to do it or something. And then look at those 36 people brought in $1,400. So what if that $1,400 was to, I don't know, put up new backstops at some range or something? What if that $1,400 was to put in security bars so that a gun shop could upgrade to being an SOT? What if that $1,400 was to get a team's shooting shirts or something? What if that $1,400 gave some hearing protection or some suppressors, which are the same thing, to a school shooting team? And 36 parents made that happen. And then a school shooting team exists. This project, this is, insignificant. It's nothing. I'm not curing cancer and we're not breaking the finish line. But if we can encourage somebody out there to get 40 people together and raise $1,500 and do any of the things I just picked out of thin air, where are we at then? That's a whole bunch of people that realize something happened. A lot of people just need to see something happen in front of them. So what happens when this project goes to $140,000 because people are bored and they want to see this tour never end? And I buy a transit van and I turn it into a mobile studio. And the daily gun show turns into a whole nother thing because I got nothing else to do than drive around and feature 2A. Is that going to inspire a whole bunch of little kids to go, oh, snap, I don't have to do whatever they told me. I can do whatever the hell I want. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Let's find out. Grab a couple of people and throw $10 at this thing. The way I set it up, hopefully will encourage other people to look at these things in new ways. You can throw $2 at or more, right? Just throw $2. 4 people have done that. I'm not going to flip over here because it'll start showing people's names. But if you're interested in doing something like that, we'll go off air and we will flip that over and you'll ignore their names and I'll show you what it looks like to have a unsuccessful and a successful campaign. But there's an option there for people to just throw a couple of bucks in. Like, this is something I like, but I don't have $25 or whatever. So here's 3, right? That adds up. I've been the recipient of 1,000 $3 bills. That's $3,000. You have any idea what projects can do with that kind of funding? Because it encourages them to do it again and to amplify. And when 300 people, or in that case, 1,000 people, when they figure out what they just did with $3, what if they do that again with $3? What if they do it 10 times with $30? So we're creating engines, we're creating movement where others are down for just hanging out and being mopes, right? Sitting there, stagnation. Get things moving. And we're capitalists. You got to do this with cash, with our time, or with our feet, our asses, right? I don't know how many people have time to do it with everything else, but some people got money laying around. So that's why we're using money as the thing in this one. So you got the $2 option. We talked about the book. So I wrote a book. What if you didn't write a book? What if you drew some pictures? What if you did something else that is creative, that can be something that people put on their wall or put on the shelf or give as a gift or something? Look around, talk to your people in your family. There's got to be somebody that's got a hobby or a creative streak that can be harnessed for something like that, a piece that you can create with, I take paper and information and some toner powder, and I use a $200 printer to smush that toner powder into the exact configuration that our brains can reinterpret it as the information that I'm getting across. So there's not a lot of material going into those books. So that $23 is $4 in shipping, maybe $2 to $3 worth of the book, and then gas in the van. So what if that wasn't gas in the van? What if that's jerseys for your shooting team? What if that's hearing protection for the kids that are shooting at the range or something, or at school? Let's get shooting teams back at schools. So there's the $2, like, the couple of bucks. Here's the hat out, you could say, or let me fold that into the fold that $2 and give it to you type of thing. Then there's let me buy that thing that you're creating, right? Then you got the patches, so you could go do something, go to some company in town, go to somebody that works with metal or plastic or leather or glass or fabric or whatever. Take some of the ingenuity and creative artistic talent that we've got in this country, and it's unique to your neck of the woods or your family or your whatever, and then figure out something to do. And then make it 2A or make it clever or make it cool or make it get people in the fields, and then figure out a way to buy that thing in quantity so you can purchase it from a person at a reasonable price and keep them in business, ideally made in the USA, and then figure out the stuff to figure out how to price it. I price it at $25. So if I'm buying something at a price and I need to add it up, if you want to try to figure that shit out, I am not the person to talk to because I'm not successful. I end up losing money usually, but I'll give you every piece of effort or everything I know about how to do it wrong, and things that have kind of worked for me and things that have failed for sure. So you can learn from my potholes what to avoid. So anyway, you got some ideas like that where you have something that you get made, like we had the patches made, and then we can sell them at a profit, right? And then basically combining some stuff. So right there, that's multiple strategies, multiple avenues for people to become involved. And that has allowed 36 people to accumulate $1,400. The way this project works is it's flexible. So this $1,400 will come in whether or not it reaches the goal. However, the goal is there because I really shouldn't be hitting the road unless I reach that $3,500. That's based on the upgrades and maintenance that needs to go onto the van, And then based on the amount of gas, of course, it'll take to get to where I'm going. But because it'll take some time to be on the road, it also incorporates the amount of money I would need to have been making. Because normally I go out on a trip and there's just this void of income. Because if I'm not hustling, there ain't dollars coming in, at least the way I'm doing my thing. So when I'm hustling my feet underneath the van here to keep it moving, there's nothing coming in to fill the coffers. So this amount of dollars is what I came up with what I would need to be on the road for this time and cover the expenses of the road. And then on top of it, because I'm using a platform to help do all this in front of everybody instead of, not, they're going to take 10%. So that $500 part of it is for their cut and for the other bank cuts, because that's really $3,000 budget we're working with. So anyway, that's the project, and that's a little bit of why we're doing it on Indiegogo. And again, an offer, if you're doing something for like, I want to turn, the water tower in town orange instead of blue, go talk to somebody else or pay me to be a consultant. But if you're doing something like, I want to get my team jerseys, or I want to get the kids 4-H shooting team suppressors, then let's talk, because you won't pay a dime to have consulting with me. And I'll be more than happy to give you, again, all the potholes I've ever encountered, all the successes. I'll give you my Rolodex, but I do these things publicly like this, and about half of them succeed, half of them fail, so that we get experience, and that it creates some gun stuff on the Indiegogo platform, but also as a community, we get to experience some failures and successes. And again, we're creating data. What's the word? Experience, so that again, if anybody needs that experience, you've got it. All right, so with that, I will hit the refresh again, see if anybody, I can't imagine anybody would jump in off of that one. They haven't. We're at 41%. That's a pretty decent percent to be at. 1460 isn't really a gun number. 36, we don't really have any gun numbers happening here. So 41 is a caliber, but that's about it. All right, so I did look at my emails, and then I didn't look at what time Clover's show is. So instead of looking at emails, why don't I just go to Clover's channel and look. Let's see. Again, if you are a Patreon, I guess I was chatting about Patreon a little bit there in that rant, then you've got a link. Join us and let me not have to talk all the time. Is this Yankee doing a video about this? Let's see. And then, there we go. Boom. All right, so 3 hours. I don't know if I'm going to go for 3 hours. If we get some comments going on over here, see how I have this going on? This is you. This is the people that are watching. It says there's 24 people out there. Very little commenting going on. This isn't so much, it's a telethon, I guess. It's only a telethon if people are making this number go up. If this number ain't going up, then it ain't a telethon. Then you're just all watching me sit here do stuff. So instead of just sitting here watching me do stuff, throw money at this area or talk over here, chat over here. See what Yankee did over here.
Hey, I want to make a quick video here to let people know a few different things. One or two of them kind of important. Well, one of them kind of important. One of them not really that important. And one of them not important at all. So, whether you stay around with them, up to you. But what I want to talk about first tonight is I think a lot of people know that Gun Websites is a channel that I support. Fully, wholeheartedly, I should say. He's one of these guys that actually gets out there and does the dirty work. He's not someone on the internet moaning for money and while they're making a fortune and then, pretending like I'm so broke as they cash their hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of checks from, their patrons and their advertisers, etc. He actually gets out there in his van, goes around the country, gets involved, takes us through his eyes inside some events, just does a lot of stuff. And right now what he's trying to do is get down to the Tulsa Gun Show, which is the biggest gun show in the United States, probably the world, I think. And he wants to give us an inside look at that. But it's not just give us an inside look. It's when he's there, he tries to rally people around the idea that we need to stand together and go on the offensive and, take back some of the gun rights we've lost. he really spreads a positive message of we need to get involved. Do that, he funds this through selling patches, etc., taking donations. He's got something going on right now, the GunShow Loophole Tour for the Tulsa event. I'll put a link below to it. It's right below in the comment section of this video, the description of this video. Please go over and donate, buy a patch, whatever. Like I said, this is something that means a lot to me because he actually gets out there and does the work. He's not just like, oh, the lefties are coming to get us, so buy these products. He's actually out there trying to make a difference. I mean, he is someone who basically lives in his van down by the river whenever there's a reason to be by the river for gun rights. He gets in his, what I like to call the motivation. That's what I like to call it anyway. He gets in his 2A love machine and goes and spreads the love of the 2A around the world, or at least across the country. I don't think it floats, so I doubt it's around the world. But please go over, donate, buy a patch, help him out. As a personal favor to me. Not that you owe me any favors. You don't, but if you did, let's pretend you do. Go do it. The thing I want to let everybody know is I'm going to be starting doing it daily. I don't know if it's going to be daily or 3 times a week or what it's going to be like Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
Okay, now he's not talking about me, so I'm not going to carry on. So anyway, thanks Yankee for doing that. And looks like 9,000 people looked at it. And I'm completely in the pocket of Big Yankee. 36 of those 9,000 directly listened to him and immediately threw $1,400 at me. So I appreciate it, Yankee, but you can see even with a big giant channel, that doesn't mean people are going to just do what they're told or what. So I'm going to go on Clover's channel and 2-bit it up over there. And it looks like we got 3 hours. 3 hours for that. And let's see. This was a picture from, this would have been from probably the year I set up with my bayonets. So I would have been set up like over here, and Oro was still with us. So this was probably 16. Maybe 17. And so anyway, this is the show, the giant building that it's in, and the far side that we can't barely see, that all these lights, perspective are going towards. The far end of the building is the east side. We are literally on the far west side of the building, and they open up. You can see how the van is parked here, and then I'm standing behind the van. There's about a lane's worth of traffic behind the van. And then, just an appropriate amount of safety room. So there's not much more than 2 parking spaces on this end of the building that sort of opened up. And before the show and then after the show, the doors open up, and this area is for unloading and, loading up all your stuff. So you'll take carts or dollies or whatever and bring your stuff from your table over to the vehicle. So you don't have to go outside. Now you can just take your stuff on dollies or carts or whatever and just drag it straight out to your car in the parking lot. But for the people that have just way too heavy or too much stuff, and they just dolly it right into their van and sometimes onto a lift and just right in, this makes it a million times easier. So that's one of the ways behind the scenes that they facilitate the kind of the setup and tear down of a massive thing that's probably the size of 6 or 8 of the largest other gun shows out there. It's just a massive event. A normal gun show takes every amount of time, and this is 5 of those. And they do it in almost the same amount of time. And it's not like I have been to buildings before where like everything at ground level is just a garage door, and then boom, like it just becomes a big roof, really. It's not like that. There's only really doors here and there in the other place. So there's only so many places you can get in and out with all your stuff. But anyway, so that's the picture he chose for the chat we're going to have here, I guess, in 3 hours at 6 p.m. My time, which will be 8 p.m. Eastern. So that means I have to be live for 4 more hours, which I don't think I got in me. But I am going to be doing a little bit of drawing here in a bit, I think. Should I click on this? Let's click on this. Ask for, what that is. Check out USSA while in Tulsa. Interesting. What's USSA? I think I've heard of that before. Iroquois Plinkskin. And how should we design the Chinese year of the gun Sure. What's going on there? Good vid. It's like two teenagers daring each other to put a 9-volt. What's that supposed to be? Sometimes these comments are goofy. Let's see. What are we going to do here? Does anybody know what USSA is? USSA car insurance? United States Shooting Academy. This isn't, oh, well, yeah, I know about this place. So, when we go to Tulsa, let's see, we've gone for a few years now, and in the heyday of gun channels, we would spend more time in Tulsa, or more people would spend more time in Tulsa. And one of the locals there, P226 Nut, who's Roro on Match Chats, that dude lives in Tulsa, and he hooked us up with U.S. Shooting Academy. So we would go there sort of as his guests or whatever. And I don't know how many times, a bunch of times. I didn't go to all of them. I've only been there once ever with them. And yeah, it's definitely worth looking at. It's a nice range. It's tough to, it's not like the most scenic range, I guess, only because Oklahoma and that part of Oklahoma is flat. So, I've been to other ranges that are like more dramatic, let's say, or something, just because you come down a hill or up a hill into them. But as far as facilities go, this one's pretty decent. I would say it's really close to the one called the Range in Illinois, which was a Blackwater facility. Just in the way that it's like manicured and the elaborate, like as elaborate as it is. What it's missing, well, okay, it's only missing really long range stuff. Otherwise, I think it has pretty much a lot. So anyway, I only know what I know of it from being there, and then later discovering where I was. Like, I didn't know what all I was at when I was there. I just thought it was a nice range. But then after, when I was doing assembling, basically, I'm on the internet, I can just show you. One of the projects, of course, is our gun shop guide, which is the 200 shops that we have visited, but also shooting ranges and museums and stuff. So as we were accumulating info for the 50 states of 2A and some of the other projects we were working on, we started to dig into the different shooting ranges in the country. And we've got them over here on Gun Shop Guide. Oops. I'll put the link in. Paste. So when I guess I have to click enter. When you look at it on the grand scheme of things, they start out in the, let's see, on this end of the list with the things like the first NRA ranges, some of the first ranges that were developed after the Militia Acts of 1908 that created the Guard and a lot of the state level rifle and pistol associations that we have today. Then you've got ranges that are just old, after World War II. Sports shooting and practicing for hunting became a bigger thing. And then out of more people being into firearms, and of course, a whole bunch of people in the greatest generation got drafted and were experienced firearms. They get out and hunt and start to do things like compete, right? And everything since the NRA in the 1700s has been to encourage people to compete with marksmanship outside of fighting so that we're better at fighting, right? Like, one of the reasons we practice is to get better at our skills. And one of the reasons we compete is to get better at all the things that you can't do at a square range, right? So competition shooting and all of the recreational stuff that developed with more firearms and more ammunition and new calibers and stuff. There's a whole wave of ranges that get built then. Then you have, I don't know if there's obvious waves, but I kind of see, then you have maybe in like the 80s when concealed carry starts to be a thing, and Carrying period starts to be a thing. You see more indoor ranges in the cities. And once you got more indoor ranges in the cities, you see a change in the ranges in the country, let's say, or at least some of them become more developed and become specialized. So anyway, so you see that kind of development here, since this is chronologic going this way. And if you look at the whole span, right, it goes up to the brand newest ones that are just being built now, which are mostly country clubs and very elaborate, basically country clubs for gun ranges, and mostly indoors. And then you get back to where the U.S. Shooting Academy is. It's pretty much right in the middle. So it's been around forever, or for a long time, but not forever. Let's see what this is all about. Who's calling? So what the hell is today? Is it the 10th already? No, I got till tomorrow. So the Shooting Academy's been around for a while. It looks brand new though, so it must have been updated or something. So it's 60 acres. It started in 2004, it says, but it doesn't. It looks like it's definitely been upgraded since 2004. It's got 6 steel challenge bays, 3 covered handgun specific training bays, 2 22 and paper target bays. There's a covered handgun bay for CCW and or for some concealed carry and new shooters. There's some multi-purpose bays, shotgun specific bays, carbine specific bays that are 50 yards. There's reactive steel targets. They have covered benches at 100. They have a 300 yard, which has 100, 200, and 300. There's sounds like some rifle specific training bays. Then there's the 360, which is basically a snail shaped berm so that you can go in there and shoot in all 360 degrees without, there's a berm everywhere. And then with a shoot house, and it says, you don't just get to go in there. You have to have a reason or be qualified to get in there. And then they've got indoor. I haven't even been indoor because I didn't realize where I was or the significance of where I was when I was there. And there's a whole backstory that I'll tell on the Patreon chat sometime. I'm not going to bring it all up publicly, but let's just say there was an incident that happened at the other side of this lake. And I wasn't necessarily, I might have still been flustered from that incident when I was there. So anyway, I've got a bunch of pictures from that place and some good time shooting with the Gun Channels folks. We were shooting, if this is the main building, we were shooting kind of over next to this barn here. But yeah, it's a pretty awesome facility. I don't know if this is just somebody walked up on this berm and took this picture. This is probably a pretty decent picture showing the scope or the scale of this place. But like I say, they just, maybe from like a drone or from Google Earth or something, you could get a pretty decent picture. But it's basically flat. So from the ground, you're only going to ever get some version of, what berms look like. And everything's grass. I can't even imagine. The other part of this, I guess, is that, see, I'm from Arizona, so first thing that jumps to mind isn't thinking about this, but they must mow this thing like 14 times a week. So this is just an amazing amount of effort to keep this place from just being a giant mosquito infested swamp or whatever. But it's also massive. And like I say, manicured. This wasn't like, I've only been there a couple of times, but it's not like I went there during a big event where they would clean up. The times I've been there have been random and it's always immaculate. So I'm guessing they just keep it nice all the time. And I can't imagine it's a fortune to join or anything. I think it's just a lot of people use it, and it economy of scale. They can keep it nice because there's so many people using it. So yeah, thanks for the heads up. I definitely appreciate heads up like that. And I just happen to have been to that one before, but always looking for places to check out. We got Mississippi Thunder. Is that unit or something, or is that just kind of looks like a unit patch or something? How would someone go about getting information on an old Colt? I've had this 1902 and I've been wondering about, and I'm 50 and don't do the internet that great. Right on. You don't really need to use the internet necessarily. The story is that Colt kept records as they were building their guns. I don't know if they did it like any focus on the future as much as just, they kept records. And most of those records still exist. However, Colt got rid of them at some point. They decided, I don't know what the decision was, but they no longer have them. They are now in the possession of a museum in Wyoming, and that museum is a money-making organization, and they have a what do you call, like a division that deals with just doing Colt research, basically. So I think they call it getting a, well, in the lingo, we always just said you have a Colt paper, you have a Colt letter, you have a Colt letter. But what that means, I think, is a Colt. I don't know what that would actually mean. Does it mean like a Colt research letter? It's basically, though, a certificate of research or something. Like, since they have all the records, they're going to charge you, and I think it's like $100 or more. They're a for-profit. They're not doing this to help you out. They're doing it to make money for their super expensive, elaborate museum, quote unquote. So it's a money-making thing, and they're going to charge you for it, and then they're going to look in their records. You tell them, I don't know how to do this. I've never actually done it. I've just been around people that have them. So I'm assuming you do something to fill out a form or something that tells them what you got, and then they charge you something. Go look at their records, and I'm pretty sure they'll come to you. I'm pretty sure they charge you something, and then they come back and go, we don't know, or they say, oh, we know all about this gun. And then in that case, then you pay even more. Like, that's the $150 or whatever it is. And then you get a letter from them that says, we researched it and we know, and this Colt was sold to, so, and usually it's like, everyone I've seen is pretty much, unless it's an engraved special gun, it's usually like, this was sold to such and such hardware store. Because almost all of them were just sold to some hardware store somewhere. And then that's all you got. You just know that that gun was made that year, that time, and then sent to whatever store. And I can only assume that means, oh, okay, in that year, so-and-so was working there, so I want that gun. Or, oh, that year, I don't want a gun from that year. I don't know, something like that. So I don't know what that, in other words, I don't know if it's going to necessarily enhance your value, but it almost certainly adds $100 to the price of your gun or more, because you've gone through the effort. And for the rest of the time, it's like having a Carfax or something. It's like having a third party's certified report of your item. So it adds, is that provenance? I don't know, but it's definitely something that adds value to a Colt. If you've got an old gun and it's sitting on a table or at a gun show or on a rack at a store or something, it's going to have a price tag on it. But if it's sitting on its letter, then it's going to have a price tag that has like $200 added to it or more, maybe. I don't really know. But yeah, so that's all I can tell you. I'm not a big fan of that museum for like at least 5 different reasons now. There used to be only 4 reasons I didn't like that museum. And I'm the guy who likes museums. I'm sitting here doing all this uncomfortable ass annoying shit just to go look at more museums. And that particular museum like goes out of their way to F me over all the damn time. So I'm not a big fan of that museum. So even on top of that, though, I don't think you got any other options. If I'm wrong, let me know. I'm not know-all be-all of Colt guns. I just happen to hang out next to a couple old guys that really like Colts and stuff. So that's how much I've gotten rubbed off on. All right, with that, I don't know. Let's, is there something else I can play so that I don't have to talk because nobody's jumping in? So we've talked about this project, which is going to Tulsa. We've talked about how, because of whatever reasons you want to assume, the show isn't going to go on. However, our show is still going to go on. So we're still calling it the Tulsa trip. And although we're not going to experience the biggest gun show in the world, we're probably still going. Really, the $3,500, let's talk about money. The $3,500, I'm leaving it there because I can't change it, number one. It's sort of like Vegas or something. Once you start something, you can't fiddle with the money part. So I can't change it if I wanted to. The only thing I could do is if it doesn't reach the goal, it always allows you to push like another 3 days or something. So if it's getting close, you can add another 3 days to it. Or if it's like now or never, like you got to be participant or you're never going to be involved, I think you can even push it then, like even if it's already reached its goal. I think there's always a way to push it a few more days, but I'm not interested in pushing it a few more days. And now it's down to the 2 days part. So the 3,500 though was really to buffer in having to take the van over and get brakes done. The entire trip will be something like 2,000 miles up to 4,000 miles, kind of depending on how successful the campaign goes. But uh, either way, I wasn't sure. I didn't really want to head out without getting the brakes done. We had to head out probably Wednesday in order to get to Tulsa Saturday morning. So that means I would have had to basically just go somewhere and just take it, and just say, I need brakes. Give me a number. And I would have probably been paying a lot. Like, I don't know, I'm guessing 500 plus for brakes. However, since I don't have to be in Tulsa on Saturday now, I can just be in Tulsa when I feel like it. Now I can go to my online place, buy 2 rotors and pads for whatever it was, $200 instead of the $200 in town for 1 rotor. And that's retail. So I don't know what what a mechanic, I don't have a mechanic, but what a mechanic would have charged. So anyway, I can definitely bring the cost down a bit. However, like I was saying earlier, I still have to, just a one-man show here. So if I'm not pedaling, then we're going under. So if I have to stop pedaling to be on the road for a few days, because literally you can't pedal and pedal the van at the same time, then there has to be some kind of buffer there so that the bills are still getting paid. So that's where the majority of the 3,500 was going to pay bills and gas and stuff like that. But a chunk of that was to try to anticipate, having to go get brakes done. So anyway, I'm digging it. So that means whatever the results are here, we're definitely getting the van fixed up, and we're going to be primed, if not able, to still kick butt. So we still do have 2 more days. And while a bunch of people who might only be focused on the gun show are more than welcome to back out. Of course, if you're a backer and you only cared about the gun show for some reason, then I encourage you definitely to back out. There's a couple of ways, we'll talk about it again in a second here, how to participate. So if you were going to grab a patch, let's say, and you don't want to now, then back out so somebody else can grab that patch. It's not like you're obligated. There's definitely somebody else in line who can take it. Especially in a year like this, if you were, throwing $25 and you really didn't have $25, I mean, I'm there. I understand that. So back out, and there's no harm, no foul, right? I don't care. And the system doesn't care. There's no charge for that. But let's assume that there are enough people, basically 100-something people. If we're at 40% right now, it's barely 100 people is all we would need to throw, 100 people throw $35 at this thing, and we're on the road, right? So if 100 people throw $35 at this to get a patch or a book or whatever, they actually get something out of it, then we're on the road. And if it keeps going and people think that's pretty cool, then we've got stretch perks here. We'll go into that in a minute. We'll keep going. And how did I start all this thing? I don't remember where I started all this one. That's the other problem when I'm sitting here by myself, run myself in the damn circles. So we looked at Big Brutus earlier. I guess I'll leave the map open. We figured out what the U.S. Shooting Academy was. That was a suggestion from somebody that's watching. Let's see. We had a couple of different routes when we first started this whole thing. And we'll close that. We had a couple of different routes. I guess we can talk about that. Dang, I need to find something else to chat about here. So either somebody has to talk, or we're going to have a moment of silence because I need to go get something to drink and probably pee and go check on emails again. So, like I say, this was unscheduled. I got an instant message from Foos saying that this thing was canceled. So I figured, let's go live and chat about it. And I'll send out a link to my 180-something Patreons, and somebody will have some time on a Monday. This is why I don't do Monday shows. Daytime people are lame. They just sit around watching stuff. At night, people jump in and get part of the thing, get all riled up. We have conversations. There's nuance. We solve things. We solve all the problems. And in the morning, you all wake up. All the problems are solved. You think the world's just great because problems get solved overnight when you sleep. And then you just sit around watching the problems get solved. And you think to yourself, wow, problems get solved so easily. It's amazing. I love the world. Then you all go to bed and we solve problems again. So this is weird for me. It's uncomfortable for me having to do the show in the middle of the day. nobody participating. So see this part over here of the screen, right? That part is where you say stuff using the power of your fingers, or text to speak, speech to text, or you could use some sort of like wand, right, with your teeth. I've seen people who can wiggle their toes pretty dang good. And all you got to do is wiggle your digits onto that piece of glass, right? Or onto those little plastic nubs that are in front of you. And then letters start to happen, and then words start to appear. And if you put them in the right order, then everybody else understands them, and then conversation happens, and then different ideas get expressed, and then they get challenged, and then it's expressed in different ways, and then new stuff happens, and that's how we evolve, and then we can get on to the next. So you can start that by wiggling your fingers out there, or talking into your phone, or be a Patreon and jump over to Dan Place, get a link, and join in here and talk. Otherwise, yeah, guess what we're getting? Some silence here. Talked myself out, and y'all have frustrated me. 21 lurkers just watching. Let's see some conversation in the text chat. All right, we could play this game. We can go on all day like this. So I got a couple hours till Clover's going. We're gonna open up an algebra book. We're gonna start doing algebra equations. Is math a thing that we discover? Is math there and we just scrape the dirt away and there's math? Or do we create math? Is math our interpretation of everything? Ready? Go. You will be created. I'm going to hit this refresh. We'll see if the moment of silence there. No, it didn't even guilt anybody. At least nobody fled from it. At least nobody took their pledge and ran. But let's dig in a little bit more. We can go into this. Boom. When we started planning this whole thing, it was because SHOT Show caved. NSSF decided not to reschedule, nor to change it to a new location, right? And they said, nah, we're just going to cancel. Let's just let the industries flounder. Sure, we've taken the role. We act like we're the head or we're the main industry thing. We're not the only industry meetup at all, right? We're by no means the only one. We're just the largest one, and the one that's decided to stick it in Vegas at the same place for 10 years. And when we're challenged, when the whole entire country is challenged, and when the industry and when the community and the country even is looking to facets of our country to stand up to the bull crap and to do, right? Even if it's a failure, but to do, and not just to quit because someone said don't. Then instead of doing anything to challenge any of that, they just went, oh yeah, let's shut it down. So they shut it down, and to their credit, they didn't shut it down as soon as they were told originally. They waited a minute, but then they shut it down like they were told originally. And again, without any kind of rescheduling or moving it to another place. And not even okay, then we're going to have a little version in Texas, or we're going to have a smaller version in Tulsa. No, they decided, let's just not do it. So that was discouraging, and that helped me decide, okay, let's go to this Tulsa one. This is the rock in the stream, the thing that's deciding, no, let's do it, even though it's easier to not do it. And to their credit, again, they tried, probably waited till after the election, but then the other day, I guess, and just getting around because they posted it on Facebook, which is nobody really watches Facebook. If they just join Facebook and say they watch Facebook. But because it's a mess, no one really gets any information from Facebook. You just get what's, decided to be shown to you on Facebook. Anyway, so someone discovered today that something was posted on the 9th about, all right, today is the 9th. Okay, I guess it was today they posted that they're canceling it. But they were probably waiting until after the election or waiting for whatever, to try to do it. Anyway, so they're going to quit doing it. And there's our friends in Florida to do the best live 2A podcast all week long, which means it's the only good 2A podcast that's live, period. There's other 2A podcasts that are good. Gun Freedom Radio is pretty damn good. Tony Simon, I guess his is live, but it's on Anchor, and I'm not into Anchor yet. But the only one that's on YouTube that a lot of people are finding is the Locked and Loaded every Friday afternoon. What is it, 7? I don't know. People all change your calendar, your clocks, but it used to be at 4 p.m. for me. Now it's at 5 p.m. So I think that makes it 7 p.m. But yeah, right on. Thanks for jumping in. And thanks for helping to promote the tour. I asked a bunch of people and not everybody did. So I do appreciate those that helped get the word out, because again, this is a concept to encourage people that we're not beholden to wait for somebody to do it for us. We got the 10th or 14th, depending on what you look at, richest dude on this planet. This whole planet has a whole bunch of people on it. And there's like the richest guy, there's the next richest guy, and 10 down. That guy hates guns, and he's doing stuff to all of us. And we don't have to wait for the 8th richest guy or the 15th richest guy to beat, challenge him in some sort of cool like robot war in the ocean, because that ain't going to happen. Instead, how do we get it to resist that? You make it really, really difficult for him to pay to fiddle with us. And you do that by getting a bunch of people active and motivated and doing their own thing. And then when a bunch of people are doing their own thing and they all stop and pick up a rope, guess what happens? Whatever was attached to that rope stops dead in its tracks. That's better than an anchor. It's better than one big stake in the ground. And then when they let go of that rope, you don't have a giant stake stuck in the ground that everybody's got to remember. Like, remember that stake and what it did? You don't have some hero stake that can fail once it gets all rusty and forgets what it's supposed to do. You don't have some dumbass anchor laying around. Instead, you just have that knowledge that together everybody can accomplish what needs to be done when it needs to be done. And when it's not, they go about their lives. And then what happens is the political strategists go, oh, there's no way to do anything with that. There's no way we can mess with that. And they leave us alone. And what they end up doing is creating a long-term strategy against us. And they move the Overton window until guns are something that are violent, and they're more violent than a iron or a kitchen knife or a bowling ball or a set of stairs or a swimming pool or a school bus or a vehicle, right? They've created that over time, and we just have to realize that we're not going to switch that right back off, but we're not going to also do it with some hero. So we do these things as a Indiegogo project so that we can encourage others to work together to accomplish little goals, little steps, little successes, a bunch of little failures that we all learn from. And again, I got all on that rant because y'all helped us support or promote the project. So thanks for that. And I don't look for, like we just showed Yankee. Yankee had, I don't know, what does he have? It's probably in my history still. Yankee's got like probably 750,000 viewers. Let's go find out. Basically 341,000, so not quite 500,000. That would be, what am I saying 3/4? That would be 75. Over 250,000, going on to 500,000 subscribers. He posts this video and it's got 9,000 views, right? 700 thumbs up. And that was a call to action. And I thank him for that. It's a call to action to all those people. And he didn't have to do that. He does that because we're friends or whatever. But that call to action brought 36 people over. I'm going to refresh. 36 people over. So I don't depend on heroes to do nothing, or the people that watch heroes do stuff. That's one thing. But the 36 people here brought in $1,400. And like I said before, imagine if 36 parents made $1,400 happen so that there's suppressors for the 4-H shooting team, or that the team going to the state match has uniform jerseys or something. So the 36 friends of the team get together. So these crowdfunding projects are how we accomplish the little successes that all together form the resistance that the political strategists decide, oh no, those people aren't organized, but they're an impossible enemy. Let's just keep moving on. Anyway, so I appreciate the help of everybody and not just the help of a couple, because even though that that is helping a lot. I'm sure a bunch of these 36 people are from Yankees. What these 36 people are going to do is go, wow, we made this guy go do a thing. What else is on Indiegogo? Like, what else is going on over there? Oh, like I can get in on, I don't know, let's find out. Some kind of horror film. They can buy a chunk of Full Hands in the Gym. Some kind of, I thought it was a drone. It's a gym thing, some kind of gym stuff. Some kind of lightsabers. I'm guessing this is an earbud. I guess you can iron stuff right on your arms now. Some sort of like, let's not get on the cable car, let's be the cable. So some kind of campaign to be a human cable. So there's all kinds of crap happening over there. Let's say if you type in guns, let's see what happens. Evil word. Is it going to get eviler? Who fucking cares? Because it's going to get evil and it's going to get good and then it's going to get evil again and then it's going to get good. Get used to cutting the grass. So there's us. Here's Way of the Gun, chapter 2 in the Brand Saga. Something about some kind of dirty looking hobo Santa Claus. A toupee and a gun. A toupee and a gun was shot. Help us post. So this is some movie with the chick from Addams Family and then Seinfeld in a bathtub. You got dinosaurs with guns. Special Forces unit is sent to capture a mad scientist and combat his army of gun-wielding dinosaurs. Oh, let's exploit guns and think of them as a comedy prop. So you got some kind of movie, whatever, free country, but it ain't helping nothing. Gun safety, use fingerprints to unlock guns. So let's use biometrics and make it seem like guns have to be stored differently than everything else because they're so much more dangerous. The gun box, another one. So $23,000 for another gun safety thing, smartphone unlocker. There's a stun gun, cell phone stun gun. 6-gun gorilla, the gun down. So this is a book, maybe? Comic book, maybe? But again, gun is just a prop, story element. Gun Voyage, a screenwriter stars in his own movie as he turns to time travel when haunted. Gun Voyage, that doesn't sound like it's anything pro-gun. Something gun thesis film. This gun is about 3 roommates who find a gun in their apartment and they have to escape or die. Oh my goodness, because that's what that happens a lot with guns, especially 9mm. So just saying. Dave's Custom Guns. I thread barrels to make one-off muzzle brakes and custom bolt handles. That's pretty awesome. Is it still going? Oh, it ended. Dang, I would have liked to have seen that because I would have funded that one or helped fund that one. Love, Guns, and Lies, a movie about relationships. And of course, guns are props. They mean violence, right? They mean hate or whatever. So that's the kind of shit we got. Now, oh, here's a good one. So most of this is just, guns are bad or guns are mopey or whatever. And then here's one, of course, somebody just leaves 1911 under a bed. Kids are like, hey, let's play Matchbox in the rug. Right away, it's fake as crap. Kids don't play Matchbox in the rug. Like everything about this is fake. Sock gun violence. So stand in socks that gun violence. So basically one of the easiest textile things to create. Let's go in there and just change the pattern and exploit children and, violence, I guess. The misconception that violence is everywhere when it's actually just in 5 counties. When it's actually accidents that you're worried about. And if we look at the actual situation, gun accidents almost are negligible. They're literally not even in existence as far as actual percentage. And the actual numbers is singular, like fewer than hardly any, because actual gun accidents barely ever happen do not happen. You could literally say do not happen with gun owners. They happen when non-gun people who depend on the schools to teach about gun safety, and the schools don't, so they don't realize it because they don't pay attention to what they don't learn, and they don't have any opinion on this. Their uneducated kids find a gun someplace and then hurt themselves, and then, of course, it's the gun owners that are held accountable. And, of course, as gun owners, you don't want to think yourselves as bad parents, so you're going to go over the stream worrying about it. So this is exploiting all of that. Kudos that they didn't make any money. Assholes. Got Young Guns Quartet presenting blah, blah, blah. So I'm guessing like inexperienced being a young gun, except they spelled it different because it's from Canada. Who even knows what they're doing? My Gun, gun safety device in New York. A safety gun NFC magazine that locks the trigger unless you're wearing the bracelet. So something that could easily be altered with just a physical clone of whatever the key is. So crazy fantasy faith in technology and combining that with guns in either a frivolous or exploitive attempt to take advantage of a situation that's only in effect because of a bunch of a-hole legislators decided to create some stupid gotcha situation with this whole uh, gun that can't be fired by other people fantasy. Yeah, this is somebody trying to exploit that. Luckily got ended. And I don't think this was shouted down. This is just pure basic logic. Like, you don't just look for a crazy like logic gap in the law and try to build a product based on it, because all they have to do is straighten out that logic gap and your product's dead. So no one's going to invest in this. It's just seriously bad capitalism to try to exploit this. So it's either an idiot or somebody who's just trying to put that out there so that then they can say, oh, see how we cared about gun safety and no one funded it because blah, blah, blah. And then they can pity party themselves to a big ass paycheck. Bullshit. Pay attention to what's being put on these platforms, right? These are big platforms. How many people go in here and search for guns? I don't know. How many people don't? How big are these platforms? So at least ours is in here. If it's successful or not, it's one of 34 that we've done. And the goal is to get pro-gun stuff up here, and not just like pro-gun, like not full profile, not just pro-gun, like, our gun crap or whatever, like buy something. Oh, I don't even show you my campaign sucker there. But more like interesting shit. Let's get to Tulsa. Let's try to get everybody on gun channels their own patch. Let's talk about how that was not a success. We got the 2A patch batch. That was a success. Raised $20,000 with 400 people to get 200 free patches for 12 different organizations. That one was pretty cool. Probably a little bit too complicated, and it's probably going to be the last one, but still an excellent effort, and I believe something that's worthwhile. That'll be on the Indiegogo platform as long as Indiegogo exists. That's an accomplishment. That's something that our Patreons helped build. The Clash Batch, that was a failure. Experience our Second Amendment. We ended this one. It was a failure because at the last minute they started the 2A rally. The 2A rally in DC last year, so I ditched this one and went to the 2A rally instead. We had the History Project early last year, a massive failure that helped me decide to quit being 2A for a while. And then the early Clash batch, I think that one was a success. The 2019 patch batch, that one was another success. Helped again to get 12 different organizations patches so that they could get off their asses and grow and do different things. We had one for ourselves that was a failure. The playing card deck was a massive success. Awesome time building something, a new way to get guns history up into our hands, into people's hands at a time when they're just playing or having a good time, and can, at their leisure, casually get some info or ask questions about guns. I think this was a big success. We had the tour in 2018. That was a bigger project. I don't remember if the campaign was a success, but the 2018 tour was certainly a success. Went to the Gun Rights Policy Conference in Chicago, learned a lot and saw a lot of stagnation. So anybody can say a good game. Anybody can raise a few bucks from the industry saying a good game. All it takes is marketing and persistence, and you've got money from the industry. You can't imagine how much money there is just in any industry, specifically ours. And all you got to do is walk in front of them, say a good game, and probably be the only one there saying that song, and you're getting money from the industry, and you can go around acting like you're so good. And when everybody comes together and you've got to act like you're so good singing that same song in front of everybody who's legit, it shines when you're weak and when you're worthless. And I love going to the Gun Rights Policy Conference because that happens in SHOT Show too, but I could care less when somebody's good or bad in the industry because that is no consequence. Those people are playing games. Those are puppets. Those are actors. The people that are suggesting there are superheroes, super interesting to see who of them are lame and who of them are just coasting and who of them are just regurgitating and listening to others and saying the same thing poorly. That's super awesome. Thanks for jumping in. Appreciate again the support, and for all you guys, both of you do running the show. And just FYI, we all know that we never saw a belly rub on that kitten. So I feel like there should be some sort of belly rub for that kitten. I feel like the kitten was the real loser last week. bunch of us petitioned to get a belly rub for that kid. So we're not forgetting that. Let's see. Then we got the 2A history project. That was another failure. We had the 4th year gun channels upgrade. Pretty sure that one was a failure. Tulsa or bust, failure. You almost quit after 3 or 4 failures. I don't, because failures just let you learn more shit. Let's see. Summit, that one was a failure. That was trying to get everybody together at SHOT Show. Guess what? Trying to get people together for 2A at SHOT Show ain't real easy. They don't like doing it. That was at SHOT Show 2018. I've been trying to do that since SHOT Show 2016. In 2018, I tried to get a bunch of people on board to help me buy a room so that we could make it even easier. That was going to cost $3,000, and in 2018 we raised 300. So that didn't happen. Here we are, a couple of years later, looking for that same $3,000. We're not trying to buy a room in Vegas for a bunch of people in SHOT Show to get together and talk about 2A. Instead, we're trying to get on the road. We're going to check out 2 new gun museums and meet up with some people, more than likely, that are focused on 2A. Let's see, where were we at? We were digging through the old projects and all the failures. We had the Wolverines. That was a failure. The Gun Channels logo. I think that one was a success because those patches do exist. So I'm pretty sure that one's a success. The 16 tour was probably our biggest success for the tours. Unfortunately, our van was the biggest failure. And that, although we had the best potential beginning the whole thing, probably because we were still a pretty larger YouTube channel back then, the van crapped out and almost killed a dog, and that put a damper on things. But we got the new van, boom, and we started again. Let's see, then we got the coin. That one was a success. Unfortunately, that guy grew, and we can no longer get coins from that guy. We're too little for him. Patches, that was a success, although it was a tiny little project. The GunShow Loophole Tour 16 failure. Buyer's Guide failure. Success. I think that one was a success. Yeah, it was a success. It barely reached it barely reached, but it was. Hosses was a success. Those were a success. We had some earlier successes. Not all though. Some of these were failures too. So we've been doing these projects for a while, and as you can see, they're not all like buy a gun, new stupid gun safe or something fake. They're just little tiny projects, but all in there. You go into one of these things and start digging in, and it's going to be links to gun stuff, links to museums, links to our people that help support our projects. That's one of the other reasons we put these things on a giant platform like this, so that when we open up one of these past projects, which no one in their right mind is opening this up, but who cares? Because the real deal is the little robot engines that run the internet and decide what's valuable and what isn't based on how many times it's linked out there. Well, when we have things like this, link into Travis, link into Liberty Doll, link into Clover, link into Jared, link into Mike, right? Those kind of things and all the other people that helped us. As we add that, that's given them some roots. We are tending this fertile dirt on Indiegogo to help give these people reach, give them strength in the bigger picture or what. So there's some method to this, and I'm just talking because this is super lame when there's nobody in here. So I'm going to stop again, wiggle this part of the screen, because this is the part where you're supposed to be saying stuff. Notice how we had like somebody who's a real human being in here a minute ago. There we go. Actually clicking on stuff, typing, right? Boom, boom, boom. He was saying stuff to us, but that's cool. Let's see. Got to drop. Might be back in an hour or so if we're still going. Maybe I'll see you in Tulsa. Yeah, that would be cool. We'll still be there. So when and for how long will change. We will be there probably not this weekend, because I don't need to be there this weekend. It means I can do stuff like order the brakes for the van and then put them in myself, save a bunch of money. So then when we get to Tulsa, it probably won't be this weekend, but it'll be like next week or something. And then we won't have to rush right out either. So anyway, yeah, appreciate it. And thanks for stopping by. But again, that was one of the people that was typing. And then the other person that was typing is going to eat dinner. So this is probably a bad time to do a show. If you're doing a show at this actual time, everyone's going to have food in their mouth. Don't do a show right now. Or at least don't do a show where you expect people to type stuff. And yeah, boom, everybody dropped out. So we probably got somebody working us. Let's go find out after I do my own stuff. So going back and forth here, I leave the map open. we'll again talk about how awesome the DC project is. It's literally the future of 2A. We'll drop another link to them, and then we'll get back over to here finally and look at some of the stuff. So I don't know how many times we started or alluded to getting into that list, but we started the project because the gun show was coming, and because I'm driving, I don't know, 1,600 miles to get to a gun show, and I don't necessarily need to drive 1,600 miles immediately right back, started thinking about what alternate routes could I take home from Tulsa to hit as many interesting things as possible. So I came up with one route that was basically the baseline, going to Tulsa and coming right home. And for some reason, people are voting on that. And then we have the second option, which are all listed right here. The second option is the Texas Trail. That would be going from Tucson to the museum in Texas, to the gun show, to the Daisy Museum, to go visit Clover Tack, who lives in Texas, then to the Texas Ranger Hall of Fame Museum, and then back to Tucson. So that would get us to 6 museums. 2 of them would be new, or maybe 3, depending on how I came home. Then we got the third one, and I guess that one's getting quite a few votes, 22% of the votes so far, 6 votes. Then we got the Nebraska Frontier, we called it, which is Tucson, the Texas Museum, the gun show, the Daisy Museum, and then Museum of the Fur Trade up in Nebraska. Then coming home through Dragon Man's, the NRA Museum in New Mexico, where they filmed Red Dawn, and then Albuquerque, and then home. Done that trip a lot of times. I really like everything about that trip. I know people all up and down that whole trip, but except for the fur trade, that would be a new museum. But it turns out that the Museum of the Fur Trade is seasonal, and it closed already for the year. So it's not even open. And they would have to come back to turn all the lights back on in order to turn it back on. So that's probably not the best route, just because it's the one thing on it that is new is not not there, and literally everything else on it I've already been to pretty much, except for the 2 that I would be hitting on every other route. So there's nothing new in addition to those 2. Then we got Route 4, which is basically going back and forth, but then not coming back to Tucson, instead going to Los Angeles. Depending on if it's still there, I have an opportunity to get a cutting laser, a laser that can cut through metal. And yeah, I'm going to use that to cut through the NFA and to cut the bindings of the infringements. But can't do that unless I have it, and if it's still there. But if it is, I would drive to California and go get it, because that was the deal. I have to go get it. They won't just give it to me. They won't ship it to me for free. So it's pretty big, I guess. So if it's still there, I could go to California and get a cutting laser. And then I'm not saying I'm going to take the cutting laser out of the housing and I'm going to put it in front of the van and use it to cut holes in, like, walls and tunnels and stuff, make my own tunnels. I'm just saying I could if I put it there. Then there is the big one, the big situation, where we would basically leave Tucson and just wander, drive around, experiencing Second Amendment, fighting the NFA, and rallying people together to quit being a bunch of mopey do-nothings, and get people to be a bunch of active fighters who mow the damn lawn and don't expect a pat on the back every time they do it. And once we lose expectations that are not based in reality, then we become a bunch of solid fighters that just nobody wants to fight with. Nobody wants to go compete with somebody's mowed lawn. So that's what we're looking for there, is to get those mowed lawns down in the route of driving around the country looking at gun shops and gun shows and firearms museums. So with all those routes in mind, we've got all the votes pretty much for the big one, which would be awesome, but of course requires all the money. Then we got most of the votes that aren't coming in for that go to Texas, which I really want to go hang out with Clover. I don't care about the rest of Texas, honestly, because I've been there before. And I kind of want to go back to the Texas Hall of Fame Museum, but I feel like there's a million other ways I could go to the Texas Hall of Fame Museum. Just because it's in the middle of Texas, I'll eventually get there again. And it's not like I care that bad. I will go there, but I'm not looking forward to going there as much as I am looking forward to going back to Wool Rock, or, well, I shouldn't say that. It's about the same as going back to Wool Rock. Looking at the map again, depending on how much funding comes in, and maybe even depending on who it comes in from, I could potentially go down to the bottom of Texas, hang out with Matt, who lives in some country club down here, right on the shore, from what I understand. There's some sort of, right in the middle of this wildlife refuge, there's like a gated community, and he owns an island on that gated community. So I could probably get on a boat on this barrier reef island or whatever it is and look at his uh, situation on that island, and then maybe go on a live chat and be like, dude, I'm across the, whenever this is, the strait. And then see Brownsville, Texas, which I've never been to. And we've already talked about it. I'm going to go to this place right here, which is the southern point of Texas. And it looks like I can drive the van pretty much to here, to the end of this road. In which case, I'm probably going to just drive into this field because I just don't care. What are they going to do? Kick me out of Texas? And then walk over to here. Look, some people have claimed that I've pissed from the United States into Mexico in every state except Texas. I can't say that has happened or hasn't happened because I don't know if there's a statute of limitations on it. And I'm not saying that's going to happen, but I might pee into the Rio Grande just because, I don't know, it's a thing to do. I feel like I should do that for all the dogs I've had that like to pee on things and didn't have the opportunity to pee on a whole other country. Nothing about anybody. I like everything about Mexico pretty much, except for the shit. But I like all the good stuff. But I just like the idea of peeing into a whole other country. When I started doing it, I was like, that's pretty neat. How many people get to pee into a whole other country? I've also done it into Canada, for what it's worth. Way more times in Canada than I've done it in Mexico. Because I've spent more time up there as well. Anyway, so that's maybe that's getting off topic a little bit. But that would be a potential route home, going to the tip of Texas and then coming up through San Antonio and another boring like week through Texas and then across the bottom of here. There are some interesting things to see down here. I'd like to go back to White Sands again. One time I was driving through White Sands. Let's see what it looks like. See how there's this white sand, which is one of the reasons they named it that, perhaps? Look at this part right here. This is an excellent example. So let's see, if you went to White Sands and let's say you just stopped your car right here and walked over here and grabbed like a handful of this sand, guess who's going to jail? Whoever picks up that sand, right? Because you're going to go to jail because you're not allowed to do that. But if you drive right over here and park, just stop, like, oh, I got a flat tire or whatever. One time I was driving across here and all this was like snow had blown across, like all this sand had blown across there. And I was in a big hurry and I didn't think about it at the time. And I was like, dang it, I could have stopped and pick up a bunch of sand just off the ground. But then wherever I was going, and I assumed that it was going to happen again. So I'm like, well, it happened right here. It's going to happen again. And I bet you that's right where I was too. I can almost remember where this is because there's like a big hill of white sand. It might have been right around here. And I just didn't know at the time that it wasn't going to happen again. But yeah, I would definitely like to go by there and get a handful of white sand, mainly because it's been bothering me ever since I drove past there and did it. Let's see. So otherwise, this would, wait a minute. Let's find out when you can go to the Trinity site. Scheduled for October 3rd has been canceled. They had to shut down a nuclear testing facility due to a... Anyway, there's 2 times a year normally when they're not scared, when the nuclear testing facility isn't scared, where you can drive in to where they launched the first nuke ever. Which is the Trinity location, which is over here. And as soon as I figured out where it was, I really want to go there even more because I'm pretty sure you go in over here and have to drive all the way through the whole thing, I think. Let's see. Maybe you can't see it from the scale. Barely see whatever this is. That's a lake. Yeah, you probably can't see it from the scale. Anyway, we found it one time in the chat one time, but it's only 2 times a year. And oh, look how big White Sands is. You can see it from space. And it ain't now. It already has happened. All right, we're down to 8 people. I'm yawning. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to click on YouTube. And when you click on the YouTube, it just shows you videos. When you click on the, oh, why is it doing this? When you click on the YouTube up here, it's going to take you to all of YouTube. When you click on the subscriptions, it just takes you what your subscriptions are. So now we can see that Crump is over there corking me, and Matt is over there corking me. Rude, super rude. Is it? I'm the double victim, really. I'm the double victim here. Gulag. So what's he doing? Oh, he's watching something. He's just sharing the screen. And then we got Crump over here talking to some dude, and also trumping me. Oh shit, I said crumping. That's not a thing. He's trying to make it a thing. It isn't a thing. And then I got Clover scheduled for 6, which is still like 3 hours away from me. All right, so since I've already been mopey and got that off my checklist, and I nagged you for not typing stuff over here, which none of you are doing, and being corked, which is unfair to me ×2. I'm ending this. So that's what happens. That's how 2A crumbles. That's how it crumbles, because of apathy and division, and people are out to get me. So I'm going to refresh. We were at 36. Oh shit, we're still at 36. It's completely stagnated. This telethon has failed. This whole thing has failed. I'm throwing my hands in the air and I'm quit. Or I'll go do something else for a little while, and then I'll be on Clover's show in a little while. I don't think I have it open anywhere, so I'll open that. And then I can drop the link to Clover's show, because Clover isn't working against me. He isn't corking me. So there's that show. You can watch that later, not now. And we'll chat for, I think, like 5 minutes. He said he can have me on for like 5 minutes, and then he's got to do some other thing that's more important. But I'll basically get on there and I'll plug the shit out of this project and the concept of the project, like I've been doing for the last, I don't even know how long I've been on. 1 minute? 5 minutes, does it say? Oh, 2 hours and 27 minutes. And hopefully by then, this will be at something like, I don't know, 500 backers. 500 backers at $200 a pop. This will be at something like $16 million. And if this reaches, I will say right now, when this reaches $16 million, I'm going to add a whole other state to the tour. I'm going to go to another state, and we're going to look at gun shops and things at that state also. So yeah, we'll see what happens. And I don't care if they shut down the gun show. I don't care if they shut down the highways. I don't care if they make rubber illegal. We're still going to have a bunch of people that are insistent on being aware of each other and meeting up with each other once in a while. And we'll effort towards that. I'm just talking to 8 people and I'm yawning. So you're not even saying nothing back. So we'll end it. Thanks for showing up and being part of the show, for the people that are good and for the people that aren't.